I
Yeah, I'll
definitely
plan
want my
on
hands
it.
on that.
Yeah, I'll definitely plan on it next time I go out once I start doing my classes.
Yo.
Bemo, you're sounding very robotic. If you want to do
It's
a quick
General
hop out.
Todd.
Open the doors of hell.
Ah!
Yo. Using the Matrix.
Oh no.
Hey,
Yo, someone go call Morpheus. Yo, what the
Yo, did I just like start up Diablo 4? What's going on?
Derek, you know when you have like a fan going and you start talking into it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we are going that.
Yo, Bemo, what happened,
That's gonna
dog?
be
You
great.
really scared- Is this evil Bemo? Is this demon Bemo? Oh my god.
I am Omed. I am here now.
I'm sorry.
Either you or Ricky.
Billy Goose today, man. Sheesh, my phone doesn't want to act right. My goodness, I apologize. You know what? I'm the one talking about. Let me introduce myself. Hi, 30K. I am a lover of now 13 years. I am a captain of ISO, Duma, and Shy, Conscious Humble Individuals, and a good member of Inky Boys, followed by my counterpart, which I think is right above me, which is Mr. Starstream TuT?
It's just Starstream now.
It's just Starstream.
Just Starstream now.
You're always gonna be Starstream.
And devolving.
He's too cool for long titles.
And soon I'll be Star.
I think Starlight will have a fight with you on that one.
She's gonna eat me like Super Mario.
I mean, the diffusers that she used that put the stars on it, I bit that with the X's on the cube diffusers because that was there. I was like, I want it.
The idea.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, their ideas are super dope, man.
If you're ever
Super
wondering
creative.
where I got my decal diffuser ideas, they came from Starlight. But yes, welcome everybody. I certainly hope you guys have been enjoying yourselves. I know it's been a while since we did this again, because of course I had to move across the country. And long story short, it was not a fun experience. I'm not going to bore you with the details. Let's just say I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm in my own place now. But
sure.
Yeah, it was quite the adventure, if you want to call it that. But joining with me, as always, we got Starstream, our always resident co-host. But of course, coming back onto the show and for debut appearance is 30K, as he already introduced himself. And of course, another person's debut on the show who's asked me and been wanting to come onto the show for a while, and I'm so glad I had this opportunity to catch you and you're available to do it. Everybody, please join me in welcoming Bemo to the show. Bemo, how are you?
Hello, how are you? I am doing quite fabulous, actually.
Yes, I'm very glad that you are here and ready to go.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
So, this episode was actually 30K's idea that he's been begging to come onto the show to do, and we are going to finally get that done, because I know he's been nagging on me for it, and I'm just ready to get it done, because this is actually a fun episode topic idea that I think a lot of members of the community will have a way to relate to in some fashion, and that is gloving taboos. So,
well, let's be honest, I wasn't nagging you about it. I was full on annoying the life out of you about it.
yes.
You know, I'm like, listen, hear me out. Loving taboo, right? The unwritten rules, the do's and don'ts, the weird, little deep dive into the things like that. I don't know. It honestly came to me as like a little playful thought, and at one point I'm just like, huh, there are some really deep interwoven like taboos, full-fledged taboos, you know. So I wanted to come to you about it, and I love you.
Yeah, I totally understand, man. And it's one of those topic ideas that I think a lot of members of the community can talk about and discuss on. And I feel like we will get a good amount of feedback from the community on this episode, because this is one of those, I don't want to say a hot button issue, but it's just a fun conversation piece to see where people stand on things in terms of the community. So the basic idea that I have for this episode is that I'm going to give you guys the talking points, and I'm going to let you guys pretty much discuss these, what are known as our taboos. So,
okay.
But before I do that, I'm going to preface this episode with the two precepts that pretty much is the basis of why we call these taboos. And the first precept that we have is conduct of professionalism in the community. Regardless of how people feel individually, when you go to certain events, especially in the case of representing Glow LEDs, which what do they run? They run the rave mob.
The rave mob.
Okay.
True rave mob.
Yeah. So people in the community kind of already know these kind of groups. There's the Melt With Me crew. There was the Face Melt crew, and now we have the rave mob from Glow LEDs. These are
Wild Pack.
Wild Pack is another one. These are basically the groups and organizers of groups to go to events to kind of promote not only loving itself, but the products that these groups have. Except for Melt With Me, I think it's just more of promoting the art.
Yeah, promoting the art in the community and the fam of Melt With Me.
With that in mind, if you are representing a company like that, you have to have an air of professionalism about you, which to me, that should actually be at all times, because regardless if you are with a team or you are a lone wolf like Chaz Michaels from Blades of Glory, you are representing the community as a whole no matter what. And so your conduct will be reflective onto the community, regardless if you think people should or should not do that. People do that. So with that moment in mind, I wanted to precept the idea that we have to comport ourselves with professionalism at all times when we are at these events. The second precept that I need to espouse on this before we delve into it is because a lot of the things fall within this category, and that is the respect of boundaries. And I just wanted to get these out of the way because I know these are hot button issues. And one of the biggest things for me is I wanted to stress this because I know this is important to a lot of members of the community. And I wanted to stress the fact that I don't care of what people think. There is a mutual social contract that we have as Glovers to respect boundaries. Considering that we are the one art that really kind of breaks the boundary, if that makes sense. Is a very intimate type of
literal
performance.
physical boundary.
Therefore, personal boundaries are being kind of crossed. And so with that in mind, consent is very important, so that already kind of comes down to a lot of the taboos that we will talk about are going to kind of have these two precepts as foundations: professionalism and respecting of boundaries. With that out of the way, I want to get through the first two taboos that everyone talks about, and to this point it is a meme. And the first one will be unwelcome doubles.
Okay.
So who would like to take the floor first to talk about unwelcome doubles? I guess what we should do for the uninitiated, we should probably explain what is a unwelcome double.
Yeah.
I can explain it if you would like me to.
Bemo, be my guest, please.
So basically, obviously with the concept of a double, I'm pretty sure as a Glover you have some sense, unless you're just fresh out the womb type new. But everybody done kind of seen if they've been out in the scene itself and seen what a double is. So I don't think I necessarily have to explain what it is, but I'll just go ahead and explain it anyways. It's basically where you have two people join together to form a light show with 2 or to 1 or more persons, because I know it's an intimate thing, but there is a there is a times where I'm sure everybody in this call can understand about the whole scenario version of you find, just say either guy or girl, doesn't matter, and their partner, and they want to include their partner in as well. It happens all the time. We already know about this, so just having that idea basic, just understand that more than one person can be involved in this. But on the side of the Glovers, it's usually 2. That's why it's double. 2 people coming together to form one giant light show. But the basis of an unwanted double is more of the fact that if you were, say, in another scenario of ours, just giving out a light show by yourself, and somebody comes up behind you and starts trying to form their hands with yours in the middle of a light show without your regulations, without your consent, nor not having an understanding of what exactly is going on. And most people don't necessarily, like I would say, understand that, especially like I said, if you're freshly new and you see people do it, they don't necessarily know the etiquettes behind it, or like what exactly you're supposed to, how you're supposed to initiate it, because there's always a way you're supposed to. Even if there's somebody is in the middle of a light show, it's best to wait till they're done. But if you're trying to like catch in on a good double, tap on the shoulder, hey, you want an extra hand? Yes or no? Be done. It's literally that easy and that, simple. So the fact that like a lot of unwanted doubles were happening, I'm not sure how much this is happening now, because I have not gotten out as much as far as going to events and festivals. But when I was, there was at one point a problem with people who don't understand the necessary boundary, because in their head, it's already an intimate thing happening. Like, it's already a one-on-one process. It's already at that, like you said, the boundary's already been crossed from the outside perspective. Somebody that's already like just watching the show from a distance, that's also a Glover. They're not necessarily, it's not understanding that that's might be a one-on-one thing. So everybody just kind of just goes in and do whatever, because they think, oh, well, he's a Glover, I'm a Glover, let's go have fun. Not to mention, I'm not trying to include this as in the sense of like, it's hard to word to find, but I'm not trying to necessarily include this as in a negative way. But a lot of times we go there to have fun. Let's be real. We're all adults here. We go out there to have fun. We take a couple of this, do a little bit of this, do whatever is your, pick your poison type. So, that also has to be considered or be, roped in. Oh, go ahead.
It doesn't justify anything, but it explains that sometimes that's why people would do that. They just get lost, a little soft, and
they're a little sauced out.
Forget that they didn't even ask. They're just like on another level, and they just start doing it. And you got to remind them, hey.
Just get on, give me this, 1 second type thing. Most of the time I really haven't like heard or experienced like an unwanted double going farther than further than you setting the boundaries after it happens. Like, I've never seen, like, I'm pretty sure there are horror stories, but I've never really physically seen or been through the fact of, like, if I tell somebody, once already, hey, I'm in the middle of a show, I'm not really wanting a double, I'll trade with you or whatever afterwards, or let me finish this. And then they come back and try again. I've never experienced that before, but I know it's out there.
Imagine you're giving a show, someone hops in, and they're like, hey, man, I'm trying to just give a light show, and they're like, no, we're fucking them up. Like, what would you do?
Like, honestly, at that point, to me, it depends on the situation, what you're on, if you're sober or not, and how aggressive this person is. Because everybody has a different reaction. Me, on a personal level, I'm probably will snap. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. I'm not in the... I ain't gonna say I'm not in the right conscious state of mind, because I'm obviously, like, to me personally, I'm always aware of my surroundings and make sure of that. But that's, yeah, right. But like, that's just, I am a little up. So like, my emotions may get involved with my logical sense of thinking. So I probably personally, I would snap on you. Like, I'd get heated with you. Like, you ruined the show, you, blah blah blah, and then kind of walk away type situation. But most people could handle it differently. And just like that, but like, just in a scenario, that's just a wild thing to just have somebody be like, nah, bro, I'm here.
I can only recall one time having an unwanted double. in my career, and that was actually
Right.
in 2015 before, and then my next time I actually had an in-person light show was at G3. So I'm sure that the paradigm has shifted in terms of what people understand when it comes to doubles and how to approach people about wanting to do doubles and things of that nature. But 30K, what's your input?
Well, as far as like unwanted doubles, like the biggest like detail that needs to be addressed is like I'm sorry, Bemo, is properly addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all putting like key notes and our own inputs upon it, but like the response time, it's at that point, if you're being bothered mid-show at some person coming up just hurtling over you because like one who comes out of the blue hurtling over someone immediately, like it takes a lot of like one trust and a lot of for some people to even let that happen, you know, let alone a lot of lovers don't even do doubles like that. But it's at that point, like I tell people, so just stop the show for a second, address it, and be like, hey man, like, or hey whoever, please don't do that. Like the hand, just give them the good old hand. Like I can't stress that enough. Just no, not the no. Like
No, nothing
like,
but health.
I had an occurrence when it was like probably like 2019. I was like, oh yeah, I went to go see Say My Name over in Hawaiian Brian's back in Hawaii, and I was just, you know, asked to give a show to somebody, and I remember having somebody straight up just come, like, I'm giving them a show. Mind you, I have to stand up. Fortunately, there, like, I'm giving him a show, and at some point, the person kind of just like, actually, let's stand up for this. The person just kind of like, as I'm giving the show, just like came underneath my hands as I'm doing the whole show and started like trying to do a double. So and I had to like.
You're telling me that this person went under.
That's a little. That's a little, that. Under. This man hugged you from behind.
I'm
like belly dancer underneath, snake roll all the way in there. Like
I'm
man,
actually kind of shocked to hear that, because that's.
So like, think about it. I'm doing this, and at some point, I know I'm doing whips, so he was getting slapped somehow, and probably at some point, at whatever point where I was at my show, he comes under. I remember I was in this position. So he managed to go under the hoop. So
yeah, that is a first for me, because
I've never heard somebody like go that far to like, it's, you know, it's one thing when you do the over the shoulder because it's kind of like, you know, it's more playful in a sense, but like I don't know, man. I don't know if he was trying to do a light show or he was trying to fill up on your breast, bro, because that's a too much of a reach. That's like, nah, that's too much.
You know, so at the time, that was when I realized, you know what? It's best to just stop and address it, because my response at that time was I just completely stopped. I gotta lie, I was going for like another like 20 seconds because I was trying to like process, like
trying to make it happen.
What? No, I was like, did this just happen? Is this someone here? And then I just grabbed him by the shoulders and then just walked off. And I went to go buy water. And the guy ended up seeing me at some point when I was walking out. He's like, hey, man, nice double. Trying to give me a high five. And I just had to bear him the unfortunate news of, sir, that was very uncomfortable. And I cannot believe you've done that. Please stay away from me. That was absolutely uncomfortable. And I remember walking out to my car. And the guy was like, low-key, like slightly following me, like trying to like say he's sorry. I will never forget this. That was very interesting thing. I cannot believe, like, you just, there's a lot that comes to unwanted doubles, and again, the biggest importance is just making sure that you address it immediately, like stop the show and carry on forth. And if any actions occur afterwards, like just do your best to just stick back, stay defensive. Really, just please get away from me. I don't want to condone anything. I was weird.
Again, fall back to our precepts that I said at the beginning of this episode: professionalism and boundaries.
That, and people seem to not understand that in a sense. Well, I ain't gonna say like just in a general statement. A lot of people just don't necessarily understand that, and it can be really annoying, especially if it's a constant happening when you're around like new glovers and such like that. I've never really experienced anybody from like people who has been gloving as long as us doing shit like that. But again, it happens, especially when you're in an event or something like that, and having a good time. You lost your ways, you're a little lost, so it can happen, and it's an understandable thing. But just like what 30 said, it's the best to address it immediately and go ahead and not try not to blow up on them, anything like that, because you just never know, because they could not know what the going on, not doing it. You could easily just educate them and be like, hey bro, next time, for anybody's sake, just ask. It's all about boundaries, and it's all about consent. Just tap them on the shoulder, whatever the case may be. Let them know, hey, I like what you're doing. Would you want to run a double? Yes, do the double. No, thank you. Have a good time. Or can I catch a trade afterwards? It's just as simple as just stopping and opening your mouth and making sure everything is okay before you do things. It's just people don't necessarily think on that, especially when everything is happening all at once, and a lot of things is happening.
Right.
And I got another point too. It's on a reverse. So like there's double gloving. Have you ever gotten a light show and then all of a sudden you got two viewers? Like you're giving a light show to one, and then there's a second person who joins in, whether it's this side, that side, or above them.
Yeah, which is very very common with the events.
Yeah. I've had the weird experience. I'm getting a light show. Someone's like, "Hey, can I watch you?" Yeah, sure, whatever. All right, cool. Sits down, then starts leaning on me, right? Doing that whole thing. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be nice. So I lean real hard this way, straighten them, and I come back. They do it again. Third time, all right, look.
Yeah.
So just throw that out there too. It happens down there as well, not just above.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely received a couple when I receive shows. People have come up to ask to watch, and they get a little too comfortable. Like at some point, you might as well sit on my lap the way you getting close to me, and I'm not even trying to go all that way. So like, that's why after the first time of experiencing it, I've never experienced it again, because like from there, I always right off the bat, just go ahead and say it, nip it in the bud, tear the band-aid off. If I'm getting the show and you come sit down to me, I'm gonna let you know. It's like, hey, I'm not the person.
Man, they're trying to see in the inside. Let me come here.
Guys, just go ahead and let them know, and just go ahead and put it in there and be like, hey, I want you to be here to enjoy the show with me, and I'm cool that you want to do this, but let's keep a little distance, because I'm not that person to be like that. I know we all up, everything's feeling pretty, or not feeling, but everything feels good. I'm just right here. And the same thing goes with a double. Because I usually, like, because of the way that I glove and how much space that I take, I'm not necessarily always in your face. I might do a little this or that or whatever the case, and that means I have to turn and move my head in direction. I'm peeping. I'm watching. After the first time, I'm always constantly watching, because it's also just as awkward for them as it is for you if they don't know what the hell is going on. They just came there, enjoyed themselves, and waved their hands. They don't understand that. So it's just as awkward for them that it is for you. So, just like how, like, reverting back to what 30 said and how to, like, make sure you do it the right way, it's just so that you won't have that awkwardness afterwards. They're cool, you're cool, and then later down the line, even if you're upset, you could calm down and be like, you've already had to talk with the dude, and as far as what you've seen, that person hasn't, went and done it than anybody else. Like, you see that the person's learning. So, like, it's also a beautiful thing to make sure, like, you teach them and have them understand. That way they won't go to anybody else, because you're, just like I said before, your reaction is different. My reaction is different than your reaction. I might take it, maturely and responsibly, and the next person might blow up in your face because you don't know exactly what they're going through. So the best thing to do is with you the one that get the unwanted double. It sucks, and everybody hate it, but it's a good opportunity to go ahead and teach them and let them know that this is not the right thing to do. Now, if they're just some dickhead that just does it to do it, then it's kind of it's kind of is what it is, and whatever happens, it'll happen. And I'm not for the not for the worry about all that. Like if that person get their ass whooped, then I'm just gonna walk away. Like it's it's at some point we're all adults. Nobody in the area is like a child. You know what I mean? Everybody's that there. Most of these places are 18 plus to get into in the first place. So at that point, you have some recollection of understanding and learning and processing to know that the right and wrong. So like everybody's in there are adults. So treat them as such, even if they're whacked out of their mind for the moment or lost. Just put that in there till they have that understanding that okay, this person treated me very nicely. So this person treated me very nicely about this. Maybe I should actually pay attention and not do this to everybody, so that way I won't cause any more issue. Because most people here are just trying to chill out and have fun. Just like with the dude with 30, he kind of followed you to the car, tried to apologize because he felt that bad. If he didn't feel that bad, he probably would have turned away and said, all right, cool, my bad, and just left. But he really felt bad for doing it. He didn't want that from you. He didn't want to put that on you. So like having that and understanding, guarantee homeboy ain't never doing that shit again. At least I hope so.
My feelings. Too late. Go on your own. Okay, it's not you, it's me. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
but again, that's why I said that with those two precepts in mind when it comes to every taboo, that is why these taboos are called taboos, because they violate these two precepts.
Right.
I also think when it comes to like the idea of doubles, I think this idea of just, oh, I'm feeling this person's flow and energy, I can flow with them, and then try to do that. I don't know if that actually comes from like the greater flow arts community, like poi, fire spinning, or anything of in that category. But I know for them it's a lot easier for people to start doing random doubles because they're keeping their distance because they're feeling proper around.
Yep.
With gloving being the intimate art form that it is, it causes people to be like, well, we have to be intimately close to make this performance work, when it's just like, yes, but you have to understand the more intimate a performance becomes, the more important it is for consent and boundaries to be established and communications on things. And that does not only apply to Glovers, but even the viewer, the audience. Because I think they have the same kind of mentality. It's an intimate show, so we have to be closely intimate to enjoy it together. When it's not necessarily the case. And I think that's probably maybe because the outside perception of Glover's performances, you have to keep it in this small tight box, as in where box theory came from. When I think as a community we've grown past that much more, but the audience probably doesn't know that necessarily. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, Peter, I think I have a taboo that you don't have written, but it's kind of like it's rarely spoken. I'm a rare Glover who actually doesn't really like light shows right here. Like, I will take them like that if that's how you give them. But I'm one of those rare Glovers that I'm cool with you being right here. Like, I can appreciate it just as much than having it right here. But I know I'm a rare breed in that sense.
I have mentioned in previous episodes, I don't remember, I just heard it just a little while ago. I mentioned saying that there are people who are okay with it being up close to their face, and there's people who actually enjoy the show more farther back. As if they're like watching a video kind of deal. So,
as in a sense, like, I would say, like, for me, and it may be, I don't know, this is my theory and how I feel like how everybody kind of starts off. When you first start off gloving, the first couple of years, you want that shit directly in your pupils, bro. Like right there. Like most of the time. Because I know you say you're a rare breed, so this ain't really, this ain't you. Like you said, you're a rare breed, but most of the time they want it right there because it's like new, there, colorful, flash, bang, like tension pipe, just like it's right there. But as you get more into it, especially as a glover, and you glove more and you see different styles and you see what other people do, you kind of have this appreciation and understanding that you don't need to, like you said, you don't need to have that right indirectly in your face. You can still perform a show at a good distance and still see things clearly. Not everybody is blind. Like, not everybody can, is, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's nearsighted or farsighted, which one is,
And some people don't like how bright it is sometimes. Some people that's why like they are intimidated by impact shows for those reasons. Stuff like
that's
that.
what I was just about to say was the main culprit was probably a lot of impact shows with those type of people would not really be perform well because it's like it has to be in your face. That's the whole purpose of an impact show. It impacts you. So it's not, and it's not for everyone. So it's definitely, like I said, like a lot of people get impact shows in the beginning because like I said, this like I feel like in the theory is a generalized thing when you first start. It's like everybody wants to get it, and I know people will feel intimidated by it because it's like lights all in your face. But most people will be like, yeah, I want to try that. I want to get a show from that. I want to see everything, especially if it's somebody who's actually 100% into gloving. Like they in there. They go into festivals, they go buying products, they practicing every day, whatever the case may be. Like this is their new favorite hobby. Especially those type of people that really get into it, they're gonna want all of that in the beginning. They're gonna gather everything and do all they can to get all that. And then once you get old enough, then you just like it's not really the same. Especially, your eyes start hurting, you gotta squint like this just to get to everything. And then if their concept doesn't fit the fact that they are that close, you miss half of the show. That's the big thing that I had to understand now, appreciating the fact that you getting a show a little bit further back, because I was like that. I want that shit in my face because a lot of the times it's just it looks good. I can see everything because of how I personally look at shit, but it's not the same. Like it's not something that I would want to have the entire time. And like I said, understanding and doing gloving as long as I have and seeing everybody different the ways of doing it and tackling it in the same concept, I appreciate it being further back because I don't want to sit here and miss half the show, squint my eyes and miss half the show because I had to do that because everything's so bright and you're so in my face. And I also got to worry about if you're not skilled enough, I'm getting smacked in the face. Like it's going to happen. Even if it's a boop on the nose, it's going to happen. So like it's that type of fear that is a little bit in there. It's like I'm not trying to get bitch slapped because you're trying to do a whip. Like back it up a little bit. I'd rather feel the wind from your hands than the hands from your hands.
You don't see these whips. They're gonna be close.
So,
that's
you said it. If you get booped, that's not my fault. You said it.
So I think it comes down to like just kind of giving like newer glovers to understand like where is an appropriate distance from your viewer, right? So if your viewer is sitting on the ground and they have their legs crossed, it's basically like a pencil length from where their legs cross is where your knees should be. That gives you close enough that you can have a lot of that depth perception stuff to play around with, but it's far away from enough that it's not in their face.
Yep.
Yeah, that will basically what will happen is that it keeps it far away enough. Now granted, yes, impacting is a very unique style that kind of has to rely on putting things in outside of their peripherals to get a lot of the effects that they're looking for. I think that's kind of one of those exceptions to the rule, but even then, with how Dr. Freeze teaches and coaches people, I think he's showing it how to do it in a professional manner where you're not violating that kind of level of boundary and still get the effects. So it's one of the things that I feel like he's just been fine-tuning.
And I just wanted to say too, like, as like a slight segue, on like a topic I also wanted to preach about too, which was like vulnerability. Is like one thing rest assured is like how far or how close do you sit with the person? because already I'm already in your space and for me, I'm with you on that, Bemo. Like I personally love it when they fit that screen, you know, that box.
Mhm.
Fit,
Yeah.
they fit everything in the frame, and it takes a lot of prowess, 100%, to not move someone's nose and be in such close proximity. And rest assured, all of you have received shows like that, and well-rounded shows nonetheless. It all comes down to the performer, you know. Like that's why this is it's a taboo. Like, do I be close or am I not close? Do they want it? Do they not? You know, kind of playing that.
I will certainly say, if a viewer wants it much closer than what you're giving them, they will actually tell you. That's actually been a thing for me. I've actually had them go like this to tell me come closer. So when it comes to that, if you're somebody who likes it much closer and they're farther away, you can signal to them to come closer. If they're not okay with getting closer, then that's where you kind of have to be like, okay, but
kind of gauge it out.
Yeah, it's just one of those
People
things.
Don't know how to be purple. They're just like.
Well, that's the thing. That what's very important. I feel like this is something that was a lot more prevalent during when raves were much bigger than just festivals. We relied on nonverbal cues and nonverbal hand gestures to communicate with each other, because if you're in an enclosed space with like the biggest sounding speakers that I've been in, there's no way you can even talk to the person even when you're right up next to their ear. Like it does not work. So we relied on these cues, and it's something I feel like we as a community should start teaching more, so the audience and non-Glover viewers alike will actually start to pick up on those to be able to communicate during things like that. And it's just so you're not shouting at each other kind of deal. We rely on that. But yeah, that I definitely wanted to get that.
I feel like all Glovers should like come to an agreement that we should all take the time to learn sign language, because it would make I think it would make it so much easier, especially for us Glovers to communicate. Because not everybody, and not everybody, as far as like a viewer, non-Glover, is going to know sign language. But if we are able to, we can be able to talk to each other and stuff like that through that to, help further that. And then and I also feel like when people from the outside perspective start seeing us Glovers use that, especially in festivals and stuff, it's gonna pick up. Because everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, dude, that's kind of sick." Because just like you said, it's hard to talk to anybody in a very enclosed area. Even at festivals, if you're not far away enough from the stage, it's difficult to hear. Even just in the back, depending on what kind of sound system they have at that stage. So sometimes it could get to that point. So I feel like learning that would definitely like help, kind of bridge that gap of communication, so that way everybody kind of be on the same page and like be able to communicate. But that's just like a side note for that. I just thought that would be cool.
No, I definitely agree. Like we don't have to go learn all of sign language in order to pull this off. It's literally certain phrases that they have that we could just adopt as ways of communication. It's simple as that, So, is there any other parts of the Unwelcome Doubles, or are we ready for the next one?
I think we're ready for the next one.
Okay. So this one is also a big one, but I think it's just not necessarily explaining from our point of view, but what it does, because this is more of a viewer taboo than a Glover taboo. Refraction glasses.
And it depends on who you're asking. Sam, my boy Nova. Them heart. He uses them in his shows, so it's not every Glover. Not everyone's against it. Not everyone is for it either. But there's definitely some middle ground. Like, I don't hate them.
I'm definitely against them. I don't like them. I hate them.
Okay.
So
I hate them.
I think I need to preface this one with, there have been recent advancements with refraction glasses, as McKinley has pointed out with the hearts. They're actually doing shapes. The ones that I'm used to is that it refracts the light and it causes it to look bigger as you move back, and it closes up as it gets closer. Those are what I guess are classic refraction glasses.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's like wearing kaleidoscopes on your eyes. It's you completely lose all semblance of what you are looking at, and it's just
prime example. There you go.
Yeah, McKinley is certainly a very prime example of that.
Well, see, like I don't really like I know hate's a strong word, and like I do have an appreciation for them, but just not during shows. Reason why, for me personally, it just like it's okay. To me, it's like how's the best way that I can put this? Like me being a Glover and how long I've gloved, like I know what I am capable of, right? I got arsenal for days, weeks, months, years, as far as the confidence that I have in myself. So when I see people put on reflection glasses, to me it cuts it down, because you're not going to see my touch. You're barely going to see my finger touch. You're barely going to see anything technical. The only thing you are going to really pay attention to with them on is my whips, because they're fast, they're circular, and they make the shapes that you want to make within the glasses. But if I sit here and do a box or something or some type of text, you're going to see 8, 9, 10 of the same concept, but cut it in half. Now you're only seeing this 4 different times, and this another 4 different times in 2 different areas, but my hands are like this. So why do they look like this in the reflection glasses? How are you supposed to depict what I'm doing if you barely can see any technical advances that I'm trying to show you? I'm trying to wow you. I'm trying to impress you as a viewer or as a Glover, another Glover. So when people put that on, it kind of, to me, feels a little bit disrespectful from a personal point of view. Not saying that that's what they're doing. It just, the glasses themselves are disrespectful to me, because it's like, why do you need to put that on to enjoy my show? Because I'm gonna make your eyes roll back without them. So like, that's why when I see people put them on, I be like, take them off, and they be looking confused as hell, like, why? What did they? The 2 other Glovers that were just hear me out, take them off, and I'll show you. Give them a show, they don't put them bitches back on the entire night. To me, that's why I'm just like, I like them for the fact of, if you just trying to see colors and circles and stuff like that, that's cool. But like, I don't want to just throw a 2 to 3 minute whip show. I want to add some stuff to it. I want to pizzazz you. I want to throw some showmanship. You can't see any of that if everything's cut into fractions. I mean, your vision is cut into fractions, and that's all you're seeing. Like, it's I don't know. I mean, I don't really wear the reflection glasses in shows, or barely at all, so I don't necessarily fully know the capability behind them. But just from based off of experience that I've had, I just never really been fond of them.
I was gonna ask, so something, again, rare breed, something I like to do every so often. Not even giving shows, just by myself, I'll put those on and just practice gloving in that sense of not really being able to see, but purely feeling, and it gives you a different perspective in that front.
It's like the equivalent of blindfolding yourself in practice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, for the average person, they're not gonna get that. They're not, like you're saying, the whole technical. Like, if you have the trained eye and you have the diffraction and you're watching, then you might get some craziness, because you're looking like, it looks like you're looking at the multiverse. On top of
and
all
I can get that, and I can get that from Glovers. Yeah, I can get that from, like, if a Glovers puts them on because they know. But even then again, that's just me personally. I just don't like. Yeah, I just don't like it. It's just, I'd rather you put on some police shades. The ones I used to wear.
The shutter.
Yeah, the mirror ones. Like, I'd rather you put them on, because like, that's one straight image that I'm looking at myself. Hell, I'm practicing with your eyeballs and it's all like. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather you put them on the kaleidoscopes, because it's just, like, I'm not sure what you're looking at. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not your vision, so I'm not sure what you're looking at. So I'm not sure what to throw. I'm not sure what can I do. Do I give a normal show? Do I throw melee whips? Like, what exactly am I supposed to, like, do behind that? And like, I understand that people, have tried to explain it to me in a sense, but it's just, my brain cannot wrap around it. So that's why I just choose not to mess with it.
Because honestly, it's just like, unless you're practicing, as an example, like Nova, with diffraction glasses, and they hold a shape that you are playing with that shape, you are really crippling us as glovers to showcase what the purpose of what gloving is supposed to be. Like you, at that point, like yeah, I honestly like in my case, I just don't really. I just say like never mind. I feel tired. I don't know. Like as soon as I see diffraction glasses, I kind of hesitate on asking them to take them off because I've had honestly that interactions with that was just all like mini arguments. Like why do I take them off? What's the point? Like hear me out. Like this is how you're supposed to see. And I just kind of get like neutral and slightly negative like remarks. Like okay, I don't. The diffraction glasses really on to me is just like if I want to go see like if I'm at an event, if I'm at a festival, I want to go see main stage and I just want to see it even nicer. Yeah, I'll just put the diffraction glasses on, have fun, do whatever. But like receiving a show, even if it's like not even like a regular light show with like Lux, but like even with like toy or orbits or staff anything, like I'm not gonna watch it with diffraction glasses. Like the purpose of it is an art. Flow art.
Mm-hmm.
What if they're really beginners and you're like he's saying, it's kind of disrespectful, but like, you know what? What if I've gotten a show from someone, like we've traded a few times, like, you know what? Hey, we're about to remix this. You know?
Like I can see it.
Way to look at it.
I can see it from
can be
fun.
disrespectful.
Yeah, I see it from a fun perspective. Like if I'm kicking it with the homies or we got like a big, chilling group type, shit going on, I'm down for it, whatever. Like we all there to have fun. But if I'm at an event or at a festival, my goal is to melt faces. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm going there with an official mob, like the rave mobs, or melt with me, or I'm going with a bunch of my high skilled Glover friends who just wants to go and melt faces. So like if I'm going in that type of field, that's the last thing I want to see because I want to showcase. That's like you going on stage and then somebody, you're supposed to make some type of, you doing any performance, dancing, whatever, and then somebody just comes and puts in that what's like a not transparent, but like kind of opaque wall or glass to where they kind of can see you, but they kind of can't. It's like somebody doing that and just sliding down on stage and then say go, and it's like I barely can see what the person's doing. All I see is movements. I don't see what the movement is. So like it's in the same thing. Like it's just kind of like what does it mean doing here? I might as well just can do this the whole time. It's gonna look just as better if I actually put in work. Like it's that type of thing. It's like just like you mentioned before, the professionalism. To me, it's a professionalism issue with that. Like from a viewer's point of view, I can't tell them how to necessarily go about this, right? But if you're a Glover, I kind of hold you at a certain, a different pedestal because unless you're like I said, fresh out the womb new, you got some type of understanding from talking, experiencing, and all this stuff, and seeing that. So if I tell you to say, hey, why don't you take those off for me so I can give you a proper show, the last thing I would expect you is to get upset with me if you were a Glover, because at that point you should have an understanding that, this ain't something that he can rock with. Let me see what he got. Let me see what he actually can do. Because like that's the thing that kind of gets me. It's like I get a lot of Glovers that get mad at me when I ask them to take it off. The viewers, like people who don't know gloving is, don't necessarily get mad at me because like at some point when I ain't gonna say they get mad at me, they do always look confused. But immediately I just like, trust me, G. I promise you will like this show, and if not, I'll give you another one with the reflection glasses. Like giving them that kind of deal / ultimatum to have them understand, like, come see what this is real quick. And if you don't like it, I understand. At least you tried.
Yeah, I think the best way to kind of like make an analogy of the situation is it's like taking somebody's art that they just drew and worked on, and then you took it, fed it through AI for Van Gogh, right? And like say, oh, I just took your art and had a machine make a new form of your art because I wanted it to look like how it did for Van Gogh or for Leonardo da Vinci or whatever classical artist that you liked back then type deal. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like, hey, you got some cool stuff, but I can't fully appreciate it without doing my own alterations to your work. That's kind of like how I see it.
Sorry, my phone was dying, and I didn't want to die in the middle of this.
No, you're good. You're good, my guy.
It takes a lot. I mean, for some people, it does take a lot to ask them, like, would you take it off? Like, take off the glasses. Like yes, we all understand. They're cool. They're nice. They make everything look visually much more appealing, and it's what you want to see. But what the major thing why it's like a taboo, or how I see it, like as a taboo, is that it's like what's the word I'm looking for? Unpredictable disrespect. Sorry, I was gonna say like an unpredictable disrespectful act. It's not like super, but it's kind of like it's like minorly petty. You know, it doesn't. I feel you, Bemo. Like, yeah, I would feel unappreciated. I feel a little hasty about it because, like, yo, like, I know what I'm capable of. I'm gonna show you what I can do some shit. You know what I'm saying? I see that. And I agree with you. So like, that's why I'm saying this now. Like, it's like you won't expect it. It's unexpected. It's unpredictable. It might happen when you come up to any viewer. And the biggest thing to try to look for, at least for the community, is finding ways to acknowledge that and make the outreach happen with the rest of the EDM community. And I've seen it. I've seen like small little TikToks here and there, and Instagram Reels, Facebook Shorts, all that good jazz, YouTube Shorts, you know. But no.
Yeah, I mean, Puppet put out one recently that I would recommend. Because the contents of what he was talking about on his most recent, I think it was either a reel or story. I don't remember where I saw it. I know it was on one of Meta's platforms. That I would just highly recommend people to go check out.
Yeah, he's doing so well with this. Like, I am like proud of him, the way he's like progressing with this. Like, I love seeing this. I've been checking him out ever since he started.
Papa Seven, Papa Mevin, I miss you.
But I think we got a good amount on refraction glasses and just why Glovers have a disdain towards them in a general sense. It's because a lot of us put in a lot of hard work to be where we are in our craft, and for you to put those on, it's like taking our craft, feeding it into AI, and say, I just made it better.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, and it's, to me, it's also funny because it's in the sense of like that one meme that it's been spread around, especially like a lot of like non-Glovers like to share, where it's like, I spent this much money to see this, but then this guy with his $30 gloves is in my face. Is like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing with the reflection glasses. Like, you know, I just like you think I spent $30. No, I spent over $100 for this technology and the shit that I just got. And I get that you spent more money for the little laser show and stuff like that. Use the reflection glasses for those laser shows.
Moderately expensive. They're not super expensive. They're not cheap. They're not poor. Do not disrespect my glove. They're not $30. Okay, they're $100.
I'm
just because you saw some hand wavers pay for some fucking Spencer gloves, I mean that we're not the same.
It's just another obstacle for us that is in the way of people's attention. That's it.
Yeah. But anyways, next topic.
Yeah. So the next one, and I know this one is a very controversial one because anytime this ever gets brought up, there's always some debate on, and that is glove lending. When you're at a show, you're doing your thing, and somebody asks to borrow your gloves.
Hell no.
Before we go into this, I will say this: there are some people out there who do bring what they refer to as a burner set, a lending set. If you're one of those people who lends out gloves because you bring an extra set, that is totally fine. We actually kind of encourage that because, you know, that there are some situations where like very skilled glovers do not bring their gloves for whatever reason. And if you're the type of person who are willing to have a lending policy, I guess, for extra sets of gloves, then by all means. I mean, another huge courtesy is that we all bring extra wipes and extra batteries in case somebody doesn't have those. Like that's something that we extend as like a courtesy for other glovers. But I feel like the line gets drawn when it's like, can I borrow your set?
I've even had like I've rented my gloves out to people for gigs before.
But
So
see,
there's
like,
a whole way to go about it.
yeah.
There's many ways.
See, like I have a like the way that I see it, it kind of falls into two categories. How well do you know them, and or just more, just one kind. It's just more to me. It's just like how well do I know the person, like. And it's just like a random stranger. Is this, you know, somebody that I just met for the first time? Is this one of my homies? Like I always put that in, stuff like that because I'll, if we're like I said, if we're at an event or something and you want to throw a show and you don't got your gloves and like, you just for example, 30. If we went out to a show or you forgot your gloves and you want to throw a show, I'm gonna lend you my shit because I trust you. I've talked to you. I have an understanding and know that you take care of your own product. So you're not going to let somebody else's stuff get damaged or anything in that sense. And a lot of people that get upset when they ask the ball and they say no, just don't see they don't take the same common concept and apply it into gloving. If I've never met you and you came over to my house and you saw one of your favorite games that you haven't played yet and you ask the bar and I say no, and you get mad, it's the same concept. Why are you mad? This is the first time you're in my house. It's the first time we hanging out. This is the first time of anything, and you're already asking to borrow something.
What?
And I say no respectfully because I don't know you, and you get upset. It's kind of a disconnect in the brain of like you can't be upset over somebody else's stuff. You can't feel like, oh, dude, I just wanted to do this and that, and it's just some pair of gloves. They might be just some pair of gloves to you, but to somebody else, that's somebody's lifeline. We've already had this talk, an understanding that a lot of people that came to gloving were in a very bad state of mind. So this is like a lot of these people's saving point. So like a lot of these people cherish and treasure these gloves. So you can't just expect everybody to hand them out willy-nilly and just think it's okay just because it's a fun little hobby. This is not a fun little hobby to everybody. Some people take this as therapy. Some people take this as serious, almost up to a professionalism. Like there's different levels of how you take and you ingest the gloving community as a whole. So like it's not something that some people should just be like upset or feel some type of way about it. It's just right down like dumb in my opinion. That's why I usually like Peter said, usually that's why I bring like a burner set or something like that for that. And I also, the fact that I am, sponsored for a company, once chips and stuff get, everything's kind of going to the way it's supposed to be I'm going to be using that as a burner set to promote. Hey, you need some gloves, bro? Here, use this, whatever, and tell me how you like them. Dude, these things are awesome, blah, blah, blah. All right, boom. It's just different ways that you could tackle it in order to turn something negative into a positive. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that they could do it that way.
Yeah, I will even say that I think what people tend to forget is that, especially in today's society, many countries have in place things called right to private property. It's in you as an individual have a right to your private property. If you own it, whatever you do with it is your right.
Yep.
So if somebody declines to lend their private property to you, you have to respect that because it is their right to choose whether or not to lend it out.
That right there. And also, if you're a glover and you forgot your gloves, it's kind of like, what are you doing?
Come on, bro.
Unless you just don't have no, like literally have no, prime reason to do anything. Like you got a broken hand or something.
Or
yeah.
Gloves. That's understandable,
Dirty ass whites.
Yeah, like if it's one of those concepts, and then like you get lost in the sauce, and now you want to throw your hands. I get it, but understand that there's a 9 times out of 10 chance that you're not going to be able to brawl. Everybody's opinion on shit, and like before, there's not a lot of people who's bringing burner sets like that. 9 out of 10, they bring a burner set. They bring a burner set for them because they're going to an event that don't even allow gloving, so they can, if they get confiscated, they're not losing. They're only losing $40 versus $150. So like, not everybody, is on that same thinking. Oh, I'm gonna bring both my gloves in, so that way if somebody else got it, don't have it, I can help them. Not everybody has that thing, mind concept yet. Most of the time, everybody's thinking on themselves because shit like this happen. People's gloves get confiscated. They get thrown in the trash. They get destroyed. Something happens, and like that's a lot of money you just put into, and now you got to put more money in to get it replaced. So it's a concept thing. Like the situation kind of plays into it as well.
I mean, to me, it's just like I know a lot of other flow artists who are not even glovers themselves, like poi spinners and staff spinners and things like that, who are just the same. But it's also because it's more understandable. Like their things are, you know how much some of these props cost. They cost like $300-400.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even like a day prop is like $80 to $100. Like it just not even getting into LED.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like that's where it kind of like comes down to for me. It's like it's private property regardless of how you feel about it, and people have a right to do what they want. If they don't want to lend it out, they don't want to lend it out. So
it's just that simple. It's just people need to understand that and respect that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything else before we go into our next point? Okay, so this one is actually a very interesting one. And this one I know has people have plenty of stories on. Distractions. Viewer distractions. As in, you're giving a light show to somebody and they are immediately doing something else while you're trying to give it to them. A very common one that I've had happen to me is somebody asked me to give them a light show, and as soon as they start, they immediately pull out their phone and start doing something with their phone. And it's the most annoying thing I've ever seen. But yeah, that's what I mean by viewer distraction. Is your viewer is not watching your show because of something.
I feel. Oh, go ahead. I've been starting this multiple times.
I open it to the floor now.
I mean, people that just start, hitting their vape, start talking to somebody, start looking off, like going on their phone, trying to record. Like, please don't. Like,
yeah.
If
you're watching this, if you're watching this and you're not a glover, listen.
Don't vape as I'm gonna give you a show. Like
before,
just beforehand. Just get your puffing, get your thing on. Cool. I feel you. I'm the same way. But like, don't do it while I'm doing it during the show. That's just plain rude. Like, you're blowing smoke in my face. That's absolutely rude.
I'm a little indifferent about that, but I do still agree with you. I don't mind if you're smoking, vape, whatever the case. Except for cigarettes, I refer you not to smoke cigarettes while I'm doing the show because that shit will stain. But if you're vaping or, smoking on a joint or blood or whatnot, that's cool. I don't have no problem with it. Just don't blow it in my face or towards me. Like, everybody who smokes has this understanding that if you hit something, you can blow it straight down. So, like, you can do that. I don't, as long as it's not, you just blow it in my fucking face while I'm trying to give you a light show. I don't need a personal fog machine, G. We already got like 8 of them around somewhere else. Like, I don't need that. I don't need your hot breath on my gloves.
Oh, so, bro, that's what I'm just saying. Like if you hit your ginormous, Vuku mod and blow your smoke tank vape machine in my face, like, sir, at this point, like, I just sign me up. Call the promoter, call the headliners, man. I'm all on there. All I need is lasers. Like, sheesh.
It's that part. So
I don't know, like, for you say it's fine to vape while during your show. It's understand, and I can say as a personal smoker, yeah, you can blow your smoke down. Me personally, just in general, like, like I can't. I'm sorry. Like, even just regular vape, like, most times I smell the hot breath. Breath with an F, not TH, F. It's just like unfortunate. Like,
yeah. No, I understand. I completely understand where you're coming from, my G. Like I said, I don't like it most of the time. Like, most of the time, I just tell them, hold off on it. But like, I also am a person, who has, smoked cigarettes and vapes and stuff, and I understand that, an addiction is a thing, regardless if it's physical or mental. So like, I do have somewhat of an understanding. Like sometimes, you don't even be paying attention. You can be just chilling, and then you just, and not even think twice about it. So like, I get that concept, and I get that understanding because I've done it before. So I can't be, as mad as somebody that I can't be mad at them doing it because I've done it before. I've hit vapes without even thinking about it and just enjoying it and whatnot. But as soon as I like hit it and I know that I just hit it, like it's kind of like, okay, well shit, let me just, I'm still looking, but like I'm trying to make sure that I'm not disrupting your show.
You're aware. I'm aware of what I just did. My beat.
Basically, like from that, and that's just from a Glover's perspective. From a viewer perspective, they're not going to understand that. So it's just best not to. But just from a personal standpoint, I'm not going to like bash your head over or like walk away unless you're just being like a Donnaroo, and that's from other things like texting on your phone, pulling it out to try to record right here, doing this shit. Like I'm going into your face, not your phone. Put it down. So like it's like other things is just way more, in my opinion, more distracting and annoying than the smoke. But I do understand and completely agree that shit is just.
Do y'all ever get those light shows where you're getting interviewed? Like they're just constantly talking or asking questions or like, hey, yo, where are you from?
Okay, yeah. Especially when it's like in a room where damn well I can't hear you. I'm trying to.
Or they're really drunk or something.
I'm at a festival. If you are trying to make conversation while I'm giving you a light show, come on. I can't do two things at once. I can't talk and glove at the same time. I really cannot talk and glove at the same time.
One of these are gonna slip up.
No, because in my case, I was just like, yeah. So like, well, when we go out and go get some stuff and everything, oh shit. Like I personally cannot process talking and gloving at the same time. Like when it comes to gloving, God, everything. I just pick up on, perception. But like you're trying to like talk to me and then you start screaming out, yelling out like, "Where you from? How you doing? Where are your friends? What set is that?" Like I'm okay. Look, if you ask me, that's one question. That's actually a particular question, specific question. If you ask me what set is this, yeah, I can answer it. Or what like that. I don't know why it just came natural to me, because people always ask like, "Hey, what set is this?" while I'm giving them a show. Yeah, I'll answer that. Like that is honestly like sometimes the very rare times I can formally make an easy answer while talking and gloving. But other than that, like if you are trying to make because I've had someone try to make a conversation with me while giving them a show, and was also talking during my entire show, and it's just like nice, yeah. I'm not nodding. I'm just trying to stay on par with the beat. I'm staying on tempo. Like I'm not so focused into you, dog. I'm sorry. I'm in with you, and you are trying to spiel your TED talk to me. I'm sorry. I love you, but
not right now.
Not right now.
I for me, it's kind of funny that when that happened to me before, I'm like, oh, so is this how strippers feel when they're working in the VIP lounge and the person's talking to them, trying to get to know them?
Yes. Oh my God, bro. I never thought about that, but that's hilarious.
I'm like, oh, this is how it feels.
That's funny, dude.
I'm also here to just lay in your lap. Just, enjoy this. I'm not giving you a light show if you're on my lap. I hope you know that, right? I think I ain't gonna say I'm indifferent, but I have had like a lot of experience dealing with that, especially like because the way that I usually try to combat it is that I go ahead and have a quick 5-10 minute conversation with them. Go ahead and get it out of the system, because again, like I know I keep reverting to it, but it always, like a lot of these things that we talk about, this always has, to me personally, in theory, this usually always comes with it. Up, G, like yeah, I mean, that's why like I'll put myself down. I'll start talking with them and finish it out.
That part, like, so in that sense, it's coming, whether it's before, during, or after. 9 times out of 10 it's during, because they're trying to pay attention to everything while paying attention to one thing, and they can't do it, but they're still trying. So like I usually just go ahead and have a conversation with them. They be like, either somebody comes and asks me for a live show, or I'll go up to somebody and ask if they want a live show, and if they agree, I'll go ahead and bust out the talk first. Hey, what's your name? Where you're from? Who'd you come to see? That type of thing. And if they got any questions about what I'm doing, it's usually kind of like they'll go ahead and ask it, because it's kind of like a symbol or like a gesture of like, yeah, let's go ahead and talk this. Go ahead and talk this out first before I give you the light show type deal. And like they kind of like not necessarily get the hint, but it's just kind of like they just fall for it because they're up. So they want to talk, they want to open up and all that stuff. So if you give them a little chance to open up and be like, all right, let's finish this conversation after I give you this light show. All right, boom, you get no interruptions, because at the time they know they already had a little bit of talk with you, so they got some information that they going to ask during the light show, and then after the light show they probably got more questions because you just blew their fucking mind.
Yeah, because in that particular scenario, of course I'll sit there and make conversation, talk about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I mean, so most occasions, like it allows them to feel a sense of trust, if you will, or a sense of like connection, that like, okay, I'm just not some random person that has gloves and just this is it, to at least to build that common ground, or at least build a form or path between each other,
Mm-hmm.
which is really compassionate of the viewer, for them to do. At the end of the day, it's very nice of them to do, of course, like, yeah, talk to me, I'm a human being as well. But it's in the more particular, in the case that I'm speaking on, it is while I'm just giving light show. So just to put that context out there, yeah, it is while I'm in the show, while you, the Glover, are giving the show.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like literally, like for me, if it's like less than like 45 seconds of me giving a show and they're talking to me still, yeah, I'll literally just stop and just start talking to them. But if I'm already in, like, if I know I'm already in like 2 minutes deep and you're still talking to me, come on, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the best thing to keep in mind is that if they are being communicative and they're wanting to ask you those questions before or as you're about to start your show, by all means, like, just take the time, answer questions. It's the whole point of the player community, man. Like, shit.
And it also helps because I've experienced this a lot as well. Well, I'll say this first and I'll say that. What I've also experienced is, like, it also, to me, depends on where and who I'm giving a light show to. Even if it's somebody new. If I'm like again, if I'm at a kickback and we are kicking in and giving light shows and stuff like that, I'll have a conversation with you, Wild Glove, because again, I'm in that mindset. I'm just having fun. I'm not actually trying to like wow you in a sense, because most of the time people who come to the kickbacks and stuff like that, 9 times out of 10, they have an understanding of what gloving is. They usually come with a gloving friend, or they have some type of access to see what it's about. So they have some type of understanding and know. So you don't really get those type of questions, more of the personal, where you're from, how you been type questions in a sense. So I experienced that, and that's not as bad because like I can talk through that because I'm not really 100% focused on what I'm doing. I'm kind of just doing muscle memory, if that makes sense. But I also like when it comes to like getting viewers from the show and stuff like that, and sorry, my mom walked in, but as far as like when you get in it from like with a viewer from like a festival, things like that, it is just more or less of, it also helps with the fact that when you communicate with them and talk to them for a second before you get to the live show, and then you give them a good live show, and even if you have a little bit of conversation afterwards, when y'all part ways, especially if it's like in the beginning of the night and then you run into each other again, now that person done went and told like 10 people about your light shows and what you look like and how to look out for you, and now you just got people that just come up, hey man, I heard you do a bad light show, stuff like that, and it kind of makes you feel good. It's the same in sense of like when when they talk to you, yeah, I'm a human being, but also in the sense of like I got that gauge, they got that gauge of comfortability to talk to me, and I gave that, you know, leeway for them to, you know, before the show, that like they could go out and just, you know, spread the fact that you just gave them a dope ass light show, and now more people want to come and give light shows from you as well. So it is also a beautiful thing to like do it that way, because you get more out of it than just, you know, the normal I'm gonna walk away, or, you know, whatever, however you handle the situation in a sense.
True.
Yeah, I think one of the things, especially when it comes to like the whole conversation and during the light show thing, one of the few things that have happened is like, oh, can you throw concept, you know. I remember a couple of times, like, I would be doing a lot more liquid-based concepts, and somebody would be like, you should throw more tutting. And I think that kind of feeds into... I actually didn't write this one down, but it kind of, like, feeds into this notion that when it comes to feedback etiquette, it really depends on where you are. That should dictate whether or not you should be trying to give feedback in terms of, like, criticisms or anything of that nature. We do appreciate the praise, but it's just one of those things when I've always seen people talk about when they're at a festival and somebody's trying to give them like pointers or critique. A lot of times, a lot of people are not up for that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I definitely want to stress as well is, besides being distracted, there is a form of feedback etiquette that's just like, if you're at a festival, it's not really imperative to give that. Unless they ask, of course.
That, or you could wait to the end of the show and be like, hey, I like that. I don't know if you're good at this, but I would like to see more of this whenever you get comfortable to do that. That is another way to kind of express, like, hey, I like your shows, but like, I want to see what, you know, if you could do some touch next time. Like, that way of approach is a lot better than doing it mid-show. Kind of like throwing out commands and shit, like they're gonna just do it because you asked them to.
Highly encourage suggestions, do not bark orders.
Literally.
Going back to that as well, like the where you said like it'd be really cool to see if you try to incorporate this. It's not as like, oh, your show was bad, this is gonna make it better. It's like, hey, you got a good show, but see what your take on adding this in to elevate your show even more, because I think it'd be really cool to see you be able to pull it off, and I think that you can when you take a look at it and try your hand at it.
But when it comes to viewers and trying to give feedback, they just, that, like, again, if you're somebody who don't go up and you're watching this, don't do it. That's just the bottom line. Just coming from people out here that have been doing it for a good bit now. It's not the best thing to try to tell Glovers what you should see from them or not. Just to sit back and enjoy the show, and that's it. Like, it's just in the same concept. You're not going to tell a chef how he's supposed to cook. He's the chef.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell him how to cook, but you will say if you did or didn't like something.
And that's okay. Feedback review is fine, because that's what we would like. That's the feedback review we want. It's the show good or bad. Like, how did you like the experience? Not this, oh, you should do this instead of doing that while I'm in the process of like doing something else, like in mid show. Like, that's not something that you should do.
Like, what I like to look at as far as like a big thing is like the difference between obviously like a viewer and a friend and a Glover. Like if they're already having that understanding,
Mm-hmm.
And oh goodness, I'm so sorry. I just started twitching. It's so weird. It is absolutely so weird that some people don't have that, at least general knowledge of knowing the difference between what feedback is and what like their taste is. There's a difference between if some people will say, hey, throw more tuts in the sense that because that's what they like. But it's, where we talk as what we look for as feedback as glovers, it should be like, hey, I saw you throwing these kinds of tuts. You should work on the structure behind it, or like
This angle or something
Mhm.
specific.
because I see the intent that you're doing. So it is very hard for people to communicate that, because it's I mean, even now, like, which is a taboo, it's very hard for us to determine the names of moves. All we go off of is angles, positions, points, you know, portions on the grid, things like that. And when we mark out, like, when we try to mark out what we are specifically looking for, it can be a very, it could be a difficult, it'd be a difficult task to explain. So when we do explain and when we do have that knowledge, that is what we look for when we ask for feedback. Like when I see, like, if one of my guys, you know, or for example you, Bemo, let's say you throw a couple whips here and there, like you're doing this and you're doing this anti-flail, you're doing anti-spins, and I'm saying, hey, when you do those anti-spins, you know, exaggerate the circle a little more so the circle looks a lot more crispy, and, you know, more clarity behind it. Whereas if I just said, hey, you should throw more tunnels instead of anti-flails or anti-spins,
Mhm.
that type of, I want to say, is just unknowledgeable or negligible. It's more of just
But
like,
ignorant.
I wouldn't even say ignorant, because it's not an act of doing anything dumb. It's
I
more,
mean, like, I'm in the sense of a definition, because ignorant just means you just don't know. It's a bit ignorant that you don't know, you don't understand.
right.
So
You're right, yeah. Context wise, yeah. In this context, it's like a neutral ignorance. As I think
I would even say just uneducated, because ignorance is knowing it and still choosing to not. So it's uneducated.
Understandable. It's just there's a lot that word can bounce back.
Neutrally uneducated.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I take that. Like,
Yeah, we'll do that one.
It's because it's a pain on us when someone tells us you should do these concepts instead of what you're doing already. When we all grew up knowing that when we go through gloving, it is what we like and what we want to do. You know, saying
some people don't know that. Like some people like they go into gloving because they want to be good at something. So like, hey, look, I'm good at this, so I think this. You know, instead of going into an art form being like, yo, I came in to just learn how this art form is done and what I can do with this art. Their mindset was, I'm coming in to be really, really good at something and claim something, you know?
And I can understand that, because given my background as, like, before I started gloving, I was doing dancing. I did kind of come in with somewhat of a mindset like that, but not to the extreme of I'm going to tell people how they should do it, because I'm freshly new. But I did have, like, this professionalism of, like, you know, there are certain things in gloving that are always going to be there, and that needs to be set there. Like, I don't know, I'll wait, because I'm not sure if this is another topic point about that when it comes to, you know, gloving, pet peeves and stuff, taboos and stuff like that. But like, it's just it's more or less like, you know, when I have that concept of coming in, I have it more or less like, I want to learn everything. What do I need to start to learn everything? What are the foundations? What are this and that? And that's that, you know, whole it's my style thing, you know, started cutting in and kind of not congesting well with each other between people who take it, I would say, too seriously versus people who just takes it as an art form.
Right. Like, if how you feel is how you convey it, and that's how you want to express it, by all means, go right ahead. But in this culture, you will run into people that will say that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
There is no wrong way to do it. There's a right way to do it. There's the right way to do it, and there is a way to do it. All
it's only objectively wrong ways if you are measuring something.
Yes. That's like, a really good statement. I like that.
The only way to say that it's wrong. It's like, oh, we're having a competition on tuts only, and you do clusters. That is wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
As much as I have a feeling that there will be people out there who will try to challenge you on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Adam can cluster tut, and that there's a difference. Like, but like you.
No, I just meant, like, I know exactly what you mean, but I can see people literally trying to like challenge you on, like, you can throw clusters in a tutting shot. It's like, no.
No,
It's
you
different
can't.
between
You
cluster
can't.
tut and just throwing clusters.
Exactly.
Like in my way that I put it, I always take things and put it in a different perspective, or take it or put it somewhere else. Like you wouldn't for you to sit here and say that, oh, I could do this in this and it should be fine. It's the same way as like you were entering a bake off and you're supposed to be making a cake, and here you are making pulled pork.
Yeah.
Like
no, that's
it's
objectively wrong.
that's literally not the whole. That's not even like where did meat come from? Like that it's just the same concept of that. It's just like, where does that come from? How do you think that that's okay when you can clearly see that this is a bake off and everybody else is making cake? But you want to be different and do something different, and I think that's supposed to stand out and make you feel some type of way. I don't know, but it's just
right,
kind of,
because being an individual and standing out is dope, but there's a difference between like doing something completely different and like unrelated. Like I would say, like abstracting is not something I relate to. That completely relates to it. But let's say I start posting poi videos in GloverCon. Like that's it's like what do you? I mean, it's flow, absolutely.
Yeah,
but it's not this.
Yeah, you can't just go and just post that and then expect to get the same attention as somebody who posted a gloving video in a gloving group.
Now, if you have gloves on and you're spinning them, you might get some shit, but at least it makes more sense.
Because you have the primary item for the whole concept of the group itself.
If you start tutting or whatever, just some literal correlation. Objectively. Oh no, that's what you talked about. Yeah. But some people aren't those fine-tuned on those kind of details. Like I think it's awesome for someone to just know like 4 moves. Like they just know like a handful of whips, a little bit of liquid, and like that's just all they want to do. Nothing. They don't have to learn anything else. If they want to just know that and flow with that really, really well, that is completely fine. But to say, hey, you need to learn these things, that is wrong. Now to encourage, I would really like if you did this because I like to see these things, but I do like your light show. That's another,
Yeah.
People forget that back in the day, there wasn't, hey, do you want to trade? It was, hey, do you want a light show? And then there was a, what is a light show? And then
you have to explain
what is your interpretation of a light show? And then they're like, oh, the glow sticks. No. Kinda,
I've had that question I've had that happen to me before, like somebody that's just like new to EDM in general, when I was giving a light show to, and it was like, what's a light show? I said, well, what do you think is a light show? And I was like, well, as far as my concept, and how, I've seen things is usually with glow sticks. I said, okay, I'm gonna take that concept and make it, and I'm gonna spin it off from it. I got 10 glow sticks in my hand in these gloves, and I'm gonna give you a light show with them. Blows their fucking mind. It's like, oh, yeah. Let me see that.
Oh yeah.
Being said out of context, sidebar. I put 10 glow sticks in my gloves.
On top.
With that being said, it's so fun. Honestly, it is the greatest experience for a glover to really be able to first time explain to somebody. Everyone loves that feeling. This is my first light show I've ever gotten. The absolute ability, which is the greatest taboo about this, the absolute ability to have the utmost control of conveying what a light show is. That you are trying, that gives you the most absolute inspiration, motivation, like the biggest boost that any glover. Honestly, to me, it's a big boost. Like it's my way giving them the door toward gloving, to give like my ultimate goal whenever I give some lecture is always give them the best experience possible. You telling me that is just gonna be like an extra, like another cake, a part of the cake I'm baking. Like let me cook. Shit about to happen, and it's your first experience. Honestly, I have no better feeling in the world. You get to just because like it opens the door for the glover themselves, and I kind of want to talk about this a little tad bit on this topic, because we've been talking a lot about the viewers, but also little less on the Glover aspect. On that side of the realm, for us, it gives us that like open, free, like feeling. That, to me at least, that like I am just going to just give you a conglomerate of just some of the arsenals of things I do and don't know, and I'm going to try to do, and I'm going to experiment with you, because either that or I'm going to showcase like this is like a competition for me. Like this is like you're about to witness. You're about to witness. Like
my goal is
always
for you to tell
Philadelphia. So, anyways, I started blasting, feeling like just, you know, it's such a it's like a deep, intimate, cool feeling for me. Like for someone that just really wants to go about and providing that experience. More of an art form than just some like little pick me up at a festival or like a legitimate rave that you come across. Like,
I think his phone was close to death. I do think it's funny because like the next topic point was like drilling foundations versus learning advanced concepts, and I think we kind of already bridged that gap and touched it. So.
I thought you were gonna say technical difficulties as a Glover. I was gonna start laughing my ass off. That would have. Hey,
well,
that is like okay. Hold on. Let's plan this. Okay. Have you ever had? Of course, you've had a diffuser pop off on you, but have you had a whole glove come apart on you?
I've had close calls.
I was gonna say I think I need you to kind of clarify what you mean by that exactly.
Like literally, the threads start just breaking apart.
Okay, so and a light launches itself out.
Shit like that. So
I've had an issue, and I'm not going to say the brand. Well, I know I can't say the brand. They're gone. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, Amazing Lights, but yeah, the one worst bad case scenario I've ever had with Amazing Lights. I'll show you. Like on the glow LEDs, I'll have glow LEDs. On my glove right here, you can. Oh, let me turn it off. Actually, you can see this giant slit right here, which that's the sewing at where they kind of sew the glove onto, right? This once more again. I don't know how well that provides, but you can see that giant little slit.
Yeah.
The whole slit on all 5 of my fingers just, and all my chips fell off.
Okay, so yeah, that's a first for me.
This was back. I remember back in like 2015, and I know I was like playing. I remember I was playing at a park with a group of friends that I was learning how to glove from, and at the time I was so negligent about my gloves. Like I'd stand up with my gloves on like grass, or it was like wet grass in a little bit, so like 100% there was like wear and tear. But the whole fact that imagine all 5 of your little fingers just straight on threads, just everything. Like diffusers poking through the glove, cool. Diffusers popping off on you, the chip moves all over the place. Big malfunctions, What do you do?
Remember back in 2019, Ricky? A company shan't be named, but those whites that I brought from LAN and my diamond diffuser were sticking out. You remember that shit? It was just like out there on the index, just ready to just fall out. It lasted the whole night, but by the end it was literally just barely I think I took it out and the hole was like that. I was able to like fully move around my finger and everything.
I've had lights fly out of my gloves before because in the earlier days they people had a tendency of wanting to poke their lights through the gloves, but when you do that you start to destroy the integrity of the glove. Other like maintenance things that I've done while I was at a show is back when bulbs were king, and you notice as you're giving a show that lights are turning off because there is a fault, like maybe the bulb is kind of getting loose, because sometimes if you keep changing out your bulbs, the prongs get worn out.
Yep.
I've had situations like that, but I also have had an entire glove slide right off my hand before, so I can only relate on that in that context, not literally watch all my lights fray right out of my hands, off my fingers.
Like I've had a couple occurrences where like I've had yeah, like my whole glove just slipped right out of my hand, and that was just due to me throwing excessive amounts of circles, and paired with the usual sweat that you deal with in gloves. Apparently, it'll just slide right off. It's super uncommon, but the most common thing that really just happened in most cases is like, yeah, your chips get displaced, your diffuser might come off, you might tap your button on accident. Like, big things to work for is like, how do you adjust off that? How do you fix yourself? Is it happening mid-show? Which always happens mid-show, yeah. But like, how do you address those problems? How do you work on that? A lot of people should take note into something like that. Just a what-if scenario.
Yeah, I know McKinley, you brought it up before we actually started recording and things like that. The unfinished trades. So I guess that's where we can jump off on that part. And go from there.
Yeah. So something I'm both guilty and I've been a victim to. Just at a show, I've given like a really long and intense light show, and then by the end of it, we just started talking and we're like, yo, this is such an awesome moment. Both just got lost. They're like, hey, I didn't even know what I was doing, man. You witnessed something that, because you were there, you inspired me to move that way. That was awesome. And then we forgot that we were trading. And we just went about our night. And then I've had the same thing where like I've gotten like a really sick light show. And then I got stopped and asked questions by someone nearby. And then we just forgot to finish the trade. So it's just one of those, like, both be sorry if you have done it, apologize. Don't let that, like, oh snap, and go back and like follow up with that.
Okay.
But also don't be too hateful or anything, because sometimes you just don't know why it didn't happen. Sometimes some third party thing interrupts it. Yeah, just keep in mind that it happens.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I have also experienced like getting, being the one asked to trade and not even receiving a light show, and that kind of, and it's not in a scenario. Oh, we talked and forgot. Like, no, I gave a light show, I sat down, and then he walked away, or yeah, then this person walked away, and I was just like, fuck, thought we were trading.
Mm-hmm.
So like, no, yeah, I was looking around like, what is this? Am I on camera right now? Like, is this pranks? What's going on?
Punk is back.
Right? I've experienced that, but again, I always take into
Got me
consideration
feeling like
they
Vincent
lost in
from
the song.
Basically.
Yeah, I just rather I just chop it up and say they're probably lost in the sauce. I'll catch them later.
Yeah, one of the other things I think probably actually leads into the trade etiquette is sitting, because we know that there are some short people in our community, and
Mm-hmm.
I have seen this since like I started back in 2010. There's always somebody who's just a little bit taller than the average person who has this tendency of just standing for their light show while the person is literally holding their hands above their head in order to give it to
me. I'm like, you fuck.
I will interject, because I am sometimes that tall individual, but sometimes, like, me being the tall person, my knees don't like to work right sometimes. So like I might need to stand for a little bit longer than just sitting. But I always try, like, if I can't sit on the ground, depending on where we're at, I'll try to find a chair or something like that. Because sometimes, like, I can't really just go down into Indian sitting position on the ground because of how my knees be getting bad sometimes. So like I usually try to stand, but I usually kind of like, I don't know, I'll literally put myself in scoliosis to make sure that I am like your level, to make sure like I'll compensate in some form fashion. It's not like I'm just a dickhead and be like, ha ha ha, you gotta look up at me to give me a light show. Like, nah, man, I ain't a dick. Like, short kings need love too.
I know. I don't know which one it was. It's one of the female Glovers. I think it was either Enhance or I can't remember her name. Really, really short. And I've seen some of her videos that were posted on GL that somebody's standing up and she's literally trying to reach up.
Didn't we talk about this? I talked to you about it before the. Yeah, I did. Remember, I was talking to you my trade with Stacks.
Oh, that was it. There we go. Yeah, because Stacks is one of the more really well-known glovers who just so happens to be on the short end of things. So it's one of the things that I think we try to stress as much as it's like, hey, the intention of the performance is to be like thrown at eye/chest level where they are comfortable with their hands, not above their heads, because now all the blood in their hands is now running down and you can literally feel your arms go numb over time. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, like I'm getting to the point now where I can't even sit down Indian style legs cross anymore because like my legs just start like numbing up at that point. Like I don't want to dead leg at that point.
You need to start stretching.
I know I am. Excuse you. Trying. I noticed. Don't worry. But like, I think if I'm sitting down, I'll tell someone like if you need to like brace yourself against me, by all means go ahead. Like I always kick my legs a little bit forward and such. Yeah, Mr. Starstream. We know you have the ultimate chair of blessings. Look, those chairs are like so dope. I'm telling you, Bemo, Peter, if you ain't get that, get one of them chairs, man. Them chairs is amazing.
So Jess, in his video when he made Gloving Taboos, he was talking about who goes first, and I wanted to bring this up as like a discussion point because people have two different camps. People see it as a sign of respect, and people also see it as like an intimidation thing, when I think that's something that's a little bit contentious within the community. So in your guys' opinion, with who goes first, is it always going to be the person who's less experienced in your eyes? And if so, why do you say that?
No, me.
No.
Because it shows more to me. It shows more respect that if I just walk up to a glover and I ask them, "Hey, can we trade? You want a light show?" If I go first, I am opening the door, stating that I'm, very willing because I'm personally excited. Like if I can even take it when I first traded in McKinley. I wanted to go first. It's been so long, It's the first time finally meeting, the Lord Starstream. Hell yeah, let me go first. Like it shows proper manners that if the person that asked to initiate the trade goes first. Now, if you are if you say like there's occasions like, hey, I'm tired or I'm a little worn real quick, would you mind going first? Yeah, of course, state that. It's not wrong with that. My part. That's me.
I think, like, in a sense, to me it depends on who I'm giving the show to or who I'm going to be trading with. If it's a Titan, like an Outlaw, Chest, R-Dub, like any of like the very well-known advanced skill glovers, I'm gonna go first. Reason being is because it's from a personal standpoint of I know where I'm at my level, and knowing that seeing people that I've looked up to, that I've constantly watched their videos, or in any sense of that, I want to go first because I want to showcase you what I'm doing, especially if it's the first time of us trading. I want to go first because to me, it's like you said, it's a sign of respect on the sense of I want to show you what the fuck I made of. Like I want to go ahead, and plus it also helps get the first, going first, getting the jitters out. Because if you go second, you get it. If you wait, especially if you're trading with somebody that you look up to, and you feel like they have a way more advanced skill than you are, it's also an intimidating thing to have them go first, because it's like, how the fuck do I like, go behind that? How do I like really like it makes you subconsciously think on like how you should do your shows, and you may not do well in your eyes, even though it's just a trade, it's not a competition. You may not do well in your eyes enough to where like you feel like you really wowed them or anything like that. and it's more like an intimidating thing to where you may not perform fully to your fullest extent because you're a little, you don't know exactly how you're supposed to go about it after seeing a really great show from somebody that you've been wanting to get a trade for a long time. So like I do think it's like it is a matter of respect, but I like to go first if it depends, because I usually, like I said, it usually depends on who I am trading with. If it's somebody that I don't really know, anything like that, it's kind of whatever. It's kind of whoever wants to go. I don't really care. You can go first. I can go first. That's one thing, because I ain't saying that I'm not intimidated or I don't know or anything like that. It's just more of like yeah, it's more actually it's not that I don't know. It's that I don't know, because I don't I never see I might not see you on the lounge, or it's like it's the first time me meeting you. I don't know who you necessarily are, and you got gloves on, so it's not something that I don't know what's going on, so I don't feel intimidated. I don't feel like I have to go first or they have to go first. It can go either way, because it's an experience to find out how good or how well you know what you're doing between two glovers.
Yeah.
I can just keep it real safe. Whoever has their gloves on first. I just like the universal side. I'm like, all right, whatever starts the light shows first.
Right.
Yeah, didn't you?
Yeah, I also think it's kind of more like a generational thing. Like older glovers and old heads like myself, we have that tendency of just having the other person go first, because most of the time it's very rare for finding somebody who has been doing it longer than anyone from the old head generation. So I think we just kind of have this mindset of we want to go second, just in case we meet somebody who's much more new to the scene. And I think you definitely see a different mentality when it comes to newer schools of thought. Like I definitely will even say like something part of trade etiquette that it's kind of funny, because even Puppet has mentioned this. Shaking hands before throwing a light show for the trade is actually something that wasn't really practiced by a lot of the old heads in the old school generations, but a lot more newer glovers actually started adopting this. So it's one of those things to me that I always have to kind of take in consideration, that as just somebody, for me, I usually just have the other person go first. But I also think how that is settled is always going to be dependent on the two people involved.
I've always shook my hand. I've always shook someone's hand ever since I learned that. Ever since I was in Hawaii, the first time I ever traded with somebody, the first trade I remember. I'll never forget it. Miss you, Mr. Schematics. I'll never forget. The first thing he did before he even started the show, he said, "Are you ready?"
That is probably the best way to go about it. And again, it kind of comes down to that communication factor. You know what I mean? And to me, the other thing is, well, that the handshake is kind of like showing a formal state of consent. You know what I mean? Because you were offering, and it's up to them to accept the handshake kind of deal. So I think it's kind of like one of those things that we do, kind of just get people comfortable and kind of like assure that yes, the things that we are going to be doing, like both parties are agreed to it. But is there anything in terms of like trades that you guys have experienced that you would consider probably part of the trade etiquette taboo category? Because pretty much like everything that we said prior to that kind of fits into that. Don't be distracted. You're trading a show, you should give them the undivided attention. Don't wear reflection glasses. If you're seeing a trade happening, do not do an unwanted double. Like all that stuff kind of already spills into it.
Ask before recording.
Are you talking about sniping, or are you talking about the viewer recording?
Either or. Oh, well, actually, the back. I feel like a snipe, because then it's like a double thing. Because I would say most glovers are cool with people being recorded, but I know there was a time when people were like, you know what, I don't want to be recorded. I don't want that stuff. If you're at a private thing, you have more of a right. If you're in public, you don't have a right. Unfortunately.
I was about to say that. Like, it's kind of hard to tell somebody not to do something in the public area that they're kind of allowed to do. Like if they in the distance and a random person sees you doing a live show and you killing it, they're gonna want to whip out their phone and record it. It's just that.
And it's just like etiquette and policy aren't law. They're just, you know, we would like to practice these things, but not everyone does, and they don't have to. Highly encouraging to just be a good person.
Literally.
It's not too hard, hopefully.
I mean, that's a taboo in its own. I mean, getting sniped is a taboo. Like, do you like it that people want to scope you out, that people that look for you and then just capture a video of you and you unknowingly don't even realize that you're getting recorded? Because that's a true snipe. You know? You don't even know you're getting recorded. How a true snipe is you get recorded and it gets posted. You didn't even know you got recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone's nice enough to be like, hey, bro, I got this to you. You know?
Right.
But
Maybe.
They're going to get your ass. They're going to get you. You're
going to see it.
But, you know, yeah. Like, I get that. That also, again, like Peter said, that falls into, you know, vulnerability and such. So.
Yeah, so I think we can actually get on to our last point of our talking points today. And this one's a very interesting one because to me, it's kind of, there's a dichotomy when it comes to this particular topic. And that topic is gatekeeping. Now, there is good forms of gatekeeping and there are bad forms of gatekeeping. And for me, when it comes to the gloving community, how people will understand the two differences is a good form of gatekeeping is like the Great Purge of 2013, 2014, when we had to push all the shufflers off of Glover's Lounge because they were not actually participating in the art form properly. It was actually
just shuffling.
The best way I can describe it is kind of what we have seen going on internet discourse that kind of brought this about. What happened with that kind of spurred on how we started handling ourselves on online platforms. But that was something that I would call a good form of gatekeeping because we want people to be in the community who want to engage in the community in a positive way, as in to further the art and to further the passion of the art. A bad form of gatekeeping that a lot of people will consider within the gloving community is when people pull the magicians don't share their secrets, and this is my, a style that is, very mysterious and people keep it in vagity so no one ever really fully understands it, and therefore they keep the knowledge to themselves. That's what we consider a bad form of gatekeeping. So I wanted to preface this topic point with that because I know some people are like, all gatekeeping is bad or all gatekeeping is good. And it's like, it's not necessarily a case.
Right.
So, but yeah, how do you guys feel about gatekeeping? A good one and a bad one.
The opinions definitely come from the fact that, like, people want resources on things. No one's entitled to make those resources. Some people they think that you should learn the way they learn. And we would hope that people would just make more resources and just do that kind of thing, but that's just not guaranteed. But also a lot of people tend to identify with those techniques as if that is who they are. So they feel like if people start doing that thing, oh, you're taking me, when really you should just make a thing and put your real signature on that thing, but it's all perspective.
Yeah, I like when it comes to like the gatekeeping, especially when it comes to like moves and such, like I have an understanding of like, why people not necessarily don't want to teach what they know about, because
but a lot of time
for like that, and for me, in a sense, it's like I don't necessarily know how to teach. Like I can give pointers, that's true. Like I can, give a little bit of advice, but if you want me to sit down and like actually give you a core structure on everything. It's not that I can't do it, it's that I'm like really very, very, very unfamiliar with it. So that wouldn't be the first thing that I would do. So when a lot of people ask me, hey, how you do this move or how you did that move, I usually tell them just to go and watch the video, play it slow, because that's the best way that I can explain it to you, because I can't even explain half of the moves that I do from time to time, because I do it. Like I do it, then learn it. It's like one of those things. Like I don't like wait, sit back, try it out, then throw it on the show. I'm already trying to throw the concept in the show and just play around with it, and then get practice it through there. But I usually just throw out just the concept to throw out the concept. So I don't necessarily know what the hell I'm throwing out right then and there. So I still got to figure out what I did in order for me to even give you an understanding of what I did. And a lot of people take that as gatekeeping, but like it's not. It's literally just I don't know exactly how to. I don't know how to necessarily deliver the information to you in a sense to where you'll digest it, because the way I learn and the way I teach myself may not be the same method for you. So it's one of those things that I feel like it's a lot of people do tend to like might look at it as gatekeeping, but a lot of I've talked to a good amount of people who are in the same boat that like they get asked these questions but they just don't know how to answer them, so they don't necessarily know what to do with it. So it's usually like can't teach you. I don't necessarily know how to show you the move. I just know how to do the move.
I just got one thing to say. That's it.
Wait, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
I just got one thing to say.
Okay.
Why are we gatekeeping dance moves
Because Facebook
that revolve around fingers? To me, it's silly.
It's very much.
I'm just straight up. It's fucking silly. Why are you gatekeeping something you just do with your hands? That's how broad I'm really gonna look at it. If you just start to gatekeep, like, I don't understand.
I can tell
The whole premise of this art. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm just saying, like, the whole art form of this community stems around raving, and raving stems around plur. So, if you truly adhere and follow that, why are you gatekeeping? If you are a part of this community, and as many times as you can say that you're not, but you still purchase gloving, props, and accessories, and etc., you are. So what's the point of gatekeeping something? Like, to me, it's just an ego check. Like, do you think you're that conceited? Do you really think you're just that conceited that you just cannot show your moves? Like, okay, what?
So
like,
let me kind of break it down. There is a very perfect episode from the TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender, in season 1, when Katara was trying to help Aang learn waterbending, and she was showing him one of her first lessons, and he was able to not only learn it but to do it even better than her. As she said, it took her months to even get to the point where she's at. There's this. And I can even say that I was even guilty of this feeling myself. Because back in 2012, I started showing my younger brother how to do it, and he was able to pick up on what I was doing and even run away with it faster than I could even keep up with him. And I can understand that it's like, how did you pick this up so quickly and run off with it while it took me forever to get there? And there was a point where the Katara even gets very upset by it. And at the end of the episode, she pretty much goes, she understood her frustration was not needed there. But what Aang tells her is like, well, I wouldn't be as good as I am without having a good teacher. So when it comes to some people getting that feeling, I've been guilty of that. I had to kind of remind myself, they wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't teach them the way that I did. Sometimes you'll have a hit, sometimes you'll have a miss. And like Bemo says, there are people who just can't articulate it to make people understand. I mean, that's why like certain videos like my archetypes, the gloving videos on gloving styles, take me as long as it does to make, because I have to research and research and research, and not only that, figure out what has been established before to be able to convey that to the viewer, you know. I know if Bemo actually sat there and be like, okay, what part are you talking about in my video, and then actually like takes 2 weeks to kind of figure it out and then tries to bring it back, yeah, Bemo will be able to teach them. But I totally see where Bemo is coming from as well, is that when you're kind of put on the spot to be like, teach me this, master, out of nowhere, they never really put that much more thought into it. Therefore, how are you expecting them to just be like, oh yes, let me give you my TED talk on this specific move I did in this video, you know? So I think that's kind of one of the things that do happen when it comes to what people kind of conceive as perceive as gatekeeping. It's just there are barriers, there are language barriers, and it's just kind of the nature of the thing. But I do agree, there are people out there who kind of take it as an ego slant, and there is a term that comes from the street dance community known as biting, and I think McKinley knows how to explain that better than I can, because this was a relatively new concept to me to understand.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean by that, but I'll let him explain it.
Yeah, biting is just when you're doing it like a literal copy. Like that's why they call it being cookie cutter, because you're not actually cutting it yourself. You're using a tool and just literally copying the same thing, versus having your own spin on something. But I mean, there's two sides to biting, because it can be a good and a bad thing. Like if you're in a battle and you bite someone and then use it against them, it's kind of like you're taking things away from them. So now look at the repeating and all that kind of thing. But it's also a bit of an ego thing, like Ricky's been saying, that really people want to hold on to that limelight, and they don't want to be the shadow. And they don't want that, oh snap, man, I had this really cool idea, but now everyone remembers that person for the idea I made, and their ego gets a little hurt by that.
Yeah, just because they did it a little bit better than me. Now,
right, or whatever it is.
It's that mindset of, you know, I put in a lot of work to do all these moves and do all this stuff, and then I show somebody else and they turn around and make it 1,000 times better, and they pulled it out in front of a crowd. Now everybody in the crowd is going to think, oh man, that dude did this, when in actuality I was the one who did it first, and I taught that person this. And it's more of that, like you said, it's like that language, that barrier where, you know, the people who the viewer or the crowd or anybody who's seeing the performer do the performance don't understand that performance that he did came from that person. They don't know that unless it's been told. So like having that in the back of your head while seeing it causes this egotistical mindset that, you know, okay, well, I need to stop doing this if I want to be, you know, known for this or stuff like that. It's a lot of people that take I feel like this falls in the lines of the type of people who take it way too serious. Like they want to be the greatest glover. They want to be the most well known. They want to be like, they want that imaginary first place trophy for gloving. And when they see certain things happening that's going to potentially take that away from them, the ego comes in, they start feeling some type of way, close themselves off, they don't give out new information about new moves and stuff that they learn because they don't want to lose that sight. And it's very unhealthy. It's a very unhealthy mindset, especially in this type of community, how free form of an art it is. It might be different in like a full body, you know, street dancing, because, you know, people do backup dancing, you know, there's more of a performance thing with street dancing or even just on stage dancing than it is with gloving, because with gloving you're one-on-one intimate, you're with that with one person, so you're showing them that particular person or one or two, you know, two or more, however you like to do it. You're showing that collective group of people, you know, what you can do, versus you going on stage and doing that in front of a giant crowd and stuff like that, and you know everybody's kind of like looking. So like it's kind of like having, you know, it's that mindset of having that unhealthy mindset that kind of needs to go away.
Not all gates are obvious either. Like I like Facebook, but the fact that everything got stuck just there, which is a good and a bad thing, because now you have to just know about it. You have to join that thing. You have to know what to look. Where a lot of these resources could just be out there. Like they are public somewhat, but it's like that wasn't the intention to gatekeep all that stuff at all.
Yeah.
But now that we're looking back and you're able to reflect on it, it kind of is in a sense. It's like
Most
a soft gate. There's no
It's
lock
most
on the
definitely-
key, but you got to know where the gate is.
That it's definitely, I can definitely see that because of the simple fact that when I had started in 2015 and was getting into it really well, I was like noticing a lot of that, especially when it comes to people who don't know what gloving is, and the fact of like it's only tied down to Facebook. But I also kind of have an understanding of why it went down the way that it is, and that's because of what we had to deal with.
Comfort.
I think, not necessarily just comfort, but like the whole, the big ban hammer on gloving in 2016, 17, where like a lot of events and festivals were like banning gloving because they were associating it with the drug dealers.
So the first instance of the gloving ban actually happened back in 2010 with EDC
Oh,
LA
okay.
2010. That was the big.
Okay.
That was the big thing. There
Okay,
was
and I'm
a
just
yeah. There was a
Right.
laxing going in from like 2012 to like 2015. And 2016 came around, and there was like this resurgence into being much more strict about it and actually like reinforcing the rules of no gloves here. I remember. Dream State 2015 was a big one for glovers because that's when we had a lot of security guards being very confrontational and physical with glovers in terms of taking their belongings. And of course, there was a lot of extortions and exploitations happening there from the security staff on glovers. And of course, the main reason why it was a big hubbub is because other props and other flow arts were not touched at all. Orbiters can fly free. Glovers, they were hunting us like flies. Like it was a big deal.
And that's what I feel like. That's why it became kind of like a soft gatekeep. It's because a lot of that was going on, and on top of also being ridiculed at one point. I know that's that's all the time. That people are going to talk shit about glovers. That's not that's not going to go away. But at a certain point in time, it was getting really bad. Like a lot. It was especially like far as online. Like I feel like far as what I have seen, it has gotten a lot of people. It has gotten a lot of negative attention on top of the whole drug allegations and stuff with gloving. And I feel like that had some part to play into it of why it kind of stayed on Facebook and it became such a niche hobby to where like you had to know a glover to get into gloving, in a sense.
It kind of actually was that for a while. I mean, I know we've mentioned this on previous episodes where like people will tell you that you have to type this specific search terms into the search bar and then tell you it's like the fourth video down. Before sharing video links was just a lot easier. So there's that level of gatekeeping. It's kind of the way I've always seen some things that people have done with gatekeeping is kind of like if you ever watched the movie Angels and Demons, and how he had to find the path to become an Illuminati because back then there was the whole book and all that stuff. It for some reason it was like this thing. If you want to be one of us, you have to solve this puzzle, and if you are able to find the hidden area, you're basically one of us. That's kind of one of the things that I've felt like in the early days of gloving. And again, it's also because of what McKinley says. A lot of the resources that we do have are archived behind a private seawall. But I also I know Starlight has touched on it. Like there is a reason why Glover's Lounge is private, and I know one instance it's because of the Shufflers exodus. The purga of the Shufflers in 2012 2014, like that was a big thing. So
not all negative stuff is a bad thing. Like I can't wait for the day that someone's making fun of us in a stand-up routine, because that's just only going to give us more love and acknowledgement that we are a thing.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Did you
I'm
see
ready
the-
for Matt Rife to just roast me. I'm ready.
I don't know. I saw, but on Instagram I saw Hayes the music producer. Yeah, he made a joke about Glovers, and I thought it was the best video in the world. He's like he's like gloving to the stereotypical like super sauce like super newbie Glover, just dancing like throwing hands around, dancing with their body. Yeah, it's amazing. I was like, this is the greatest light show I've ever seen.
Did you guys see
I know what you're talking about.
the video where there's the
About
guy?
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was watching that earlier. Yeah.
Wait, what? I've never seen it. Explain it.
I was gonna say, McKinley, you definitely should send Bemo that link then.
I haven't fully watched it. I just saw a little bit of it.
I
Basically,
saw
the
that
guy
I
who
saw
was,
that
like,
show up, but
singing
did
and
not watch
dancing
it
and
yet.
rapping.
But the one that I'm talking about is something Barrett. He was the guy that did the finger bang video where he's like doing the Vice like documentary thing. He's like, yeah, I go to the festivals and I start banging people's minds out with my fingers, like that whole parody thing.
Finger banging technique.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just super over the top, exaggerated how a Glover would be, but it make like everyone who's a Glover like knows a guy who's acted that way, kind of thing.
That's the thing. We all know a guy like that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that one was brilliant. Like that was hilarious. I know there was that one video on Tosh.0. We had that one.
Yep. Yeah, that one was such a big blow up. That was probably like my favorite roast, honestly.
There was that one, and I think Ridiculousness did a video. Like I think they had an episode where there was, I remember now. Have you guys actually seen the show Ridiculousness? Robert
Yes, I love that show.
all the. Okay, I don't remember what the segment title was called, but there was this one where somebody was hanging upside down from one of the stage rigs, and was giving somebody a light show upside down, and you can see. The angle of the camera was the person was upside down facing this way, and like the camera was from afar, so they had to zoom in on the dude's face that was getting the light show, and it was just the funniest thing.
Yeah.
So like we've had our exposure to the mainstream in that fashion, and I know there are some people out there who look at that as bad publicity, but no publicity is bad publicity. What do you think in terms of current year gloving is bad forms of gatekeeping that we see today? Because I can't really, besides like people saying, "Oh, this is my secret move and I don't teach anyone," I don't really see it happening as much anymore.
Stop trying to bring back Toxic Geo. Like y'all sound stupid. Y'all sound stupid for that. Like y'all, why would you openly state, "Yeah, let's bring back negative vibes"? Like. I don't understand how funny you think you are, but you're gonna grow old. You're gonna think about what you did in the past, and if you don't regret it, cool. But the way that the current world is, they're probably gonna regret it. Like, why would you have a just why? What's the premise of it?
I honestly think it's just a troll. It is literally just a form of trolling that's going on in the community right now.
Yeah, it's definitely bait, bro. Like a lot of the times, a lot of the Glovers that I've talked to after they done had this, quote unquote, blowout or breakdown on gloving violence and just doing this unnecessary post, and then everybody hops in and give their opinion in the most unnecessary negative way, and you just basically cause an uproar for no reason. When I talk to these people down the line, they're not anything what they put on that post. They don't have any of that way at all. So it's always just some bait thing to just get people's attention. But why can't you just post a light show instead? Why you gotta post? Why can't you? Why you gotta make a post about how angry about something as little skill as a move set or a style, and then you want everybody else to come in. You have everybody else coming in giving their opinion, and then you're getting upset towards those people giving their opinion. You post it on a public forum, like people are allowed to comment. So that's the whole point of So point of point of that. So like me, it's just like I'm in the same boat with you. It's like, why even go through that? Like, why even do all of that? Like, I get it. I see people over there do it just to be funny and stuff like that. And there are certain people that you just know. Like at this point, and only the people that don't, which is still bad in my opinion, but only people who don't know that this person is trolling are the newest Glovers. But then there are certain Glovers out there that they just do this shit and nobody really bats an eye because we've seen it so many times. Like it's like one of those.
Not everyone uses the internet like that.
Yeah, and it's like
do.
Well, see, that's the other thing as well, is that they also know that it's been a while since they started doing that, and they know that there have been more people added into the community who have not been exposed to that kind of conduct. And so, like you said, they're baited into it. And there was a post that happened recently on
pros and cons
on GL that it was a copy pasta that somebody posted. And I remember how, like, if you go through the comments, you see some of the people who took it as a serious thing. And then about 4 or 5 comments down, then you start seeing a copy pasta stuff, and I'm just like, okay, so if you think it's something that's like, why on earth would somebody post this, check your comments first and see if somebody's saying copy pasta, because 9 times out of 10 it is a copy pasta to cause engagement.
Yeah. Like I understand it to a point, but like at some point it's just like, why even go through this? Because sometimes people do this shit and it goes so left field for absolutely no reason, and now people's feelings are getting hurt, like actually getting hurt over something that wasn't even supposed to be taken like any type of seriousness. And that's the thing that gets me, is just like, why? Like, we're all here with it in our hands, so like, why would you want to get upset about it? Why do you want to bring in personal things to talk about somebody? Like, it don't make any sense for you to go that route. And then there's just some people who just, just outright just are unnecessary all the time. There's a couple few people that I know that are like that, and then it's just, why? That's why I was gonna interject you when you said, like, no publicity is bad publicity, but I kind of feel like, bad publicity is bad publicity regardless. I know you're getting a source of attention, but 9 times out of 10 it's always from a negative output, so they're not actually digesting or getting whatever you're trying to put out there. Whatever attention that you're trying to grasp, you're not going to get that.
Yeah, I
think if you add an objective. If the objective is to get attention.
Yeah.
But if it's just meaningless attention, you didn't get anything from it. You didn't, like, it's not, there's no beneficial coming from it. You just got a little attention and that's it. So like, what was that doesn't serve anything.
Engagement. Like, some people just want acknowledgement of existence. Simple as that. They're that petty. They just want to be acknowledged.
And then there was like certain Glovers that are like, the way they get themselves known is to be this unnecessary negative ass person who talks all this shit. And then it's like, to me, it's just like, why go through all that? And now you got this so-called redemption arc where you're trying to be better and all this stuff. It's like, you could have just started being good. Why do we have to go through a whole, what feels like 2-season series of you being a dick in the beginning, and now you're nice and kind? And like, you could have just started that way. Why do you have to be a dick just to get everybody's attention so you can show that you're a nice person? Just be a nice person. Like, I never understood that method of, this is how I'm going to gain people's attention, so that way they'll be able to look at my shows and stuff like that. That's just to me personally, that's just a dog shit ass way to gain people's attention.
There's no, like,
I ain't saying, and I ain't saying like I'm not saying like, personally, like it's not like an actual thing or anything. This is just genuinely based off of my opinion.
General.
I do understand that it, whatever publicity you get is whatever you get, and however you turn it is however you turn it. But coming from the other side, it's very strenuous and frustrating to see that, because like 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to want to initiating your post. I'm not going to want to talk to you. I'm going to think that this is how you are in real life, so that's going to make me not want to interact with you. and like it causes more issues, you know, for the long run than the little short of the attention that you're getting. But that's just, you know, me personally and my opinions and just how I see things. So like I'm not, you know, factualing this out.
Yeah, and seeing that, to me, it kind of that kind of comes back to the same precepts. Is that even with even in online spaces, we have to remind ourselves that we do represent the community, regardless of how we feel about the community. You know, so as much as I feel like today's society has really ramped up this mentality of do the most wildest things that will you know, that will shock and offend people to get that attention, and we're starting to really see that be exacerbated now with how engagement is essentially farmed these days. I mean, like TikTok is showing us a very good example of both good attention and really bad attention, and how the person of the attention that is being given reacts and takes it. You know what I mean? So and that's where I kind of sit in the same boat as you, Bemo. It just annoys me that people do it. It's just like, come on, is it really necessary? Do you like, is this the only way you feel like you can get that attention? And if so, why do you feel like that?
Like I just don't understand it.
Yeah, but
they
again,
just push sad
that's
people.
where the good form of gatekeeping comes in. You push those people out.
Or educate.
Well, you give them an opportunity to learn and grow, and if they refuse to do so, that's when you're like, okay, the door is there.
Gate.
The shit out of here.
It's like also it's like, you know, the whole, you know, giving them a chance to learn. Like I said, like a lot of them never really are even like this in the first place. So it's like it's like, I don't know. It might be a social thing that I be, you know, be hip on towards and
Social
stuff.
media.
Yeah, it's just like I just don't rock with that necessarily. Like, you know, it's not. I just don't think it's a good way to engage your audience. Like, not a lot of people are gonna want to watch your live shows if you're a dick. Don't care how good you are. It's just is what it is.
Not everyone even looks at it in that way. Like, oh, I have an audience.
Yeah. Like it's just one of those things. If you're serious about trying to get your, you know, put your stuff out there, that's just not the way to do it at all.
Yeah, I feel like people kind of have like this mentality with social media, is like writing on a wall in a bathroom stall. Yeah, a lot of people are going to see it, but most of them are just going to ignore it anyways. But when you go onto social media and online spaces, you go into a group, you post that, everyone in that group is going to see it. And so people are going to react to it. They can't necessarily react to you when you write something on a bathroom stall unless they're right there to tell you to stop writing on the bathroom wall. You know?
Or yeah, that part.
But I've also mentioned the notion of the analogy of, I feel like a lot of people in the gloving community from online to in person is like when two dogs are separated by a barrier, and once you remove the barrier, instead of barking at each other, they just completely chill out. I get that sense a lot with the gloving community.
Mm-hmm. All bark, no bite.
Yeah. So it's strange.
It's strange. Feeling in a place of you. It's every single thing you do. I'm so sorry. Oh, my bad. My bad. My bad.
Oh shit, you right.
So
I'm glad you said that. Right?
Here's a point, and I think this will be our last point within the gatekeeping discussion. There was a part in there was a video that just put out that 30K actually brought this up, and I thought this would be a cool discussion topic, and why it's kind of like a meme within itself. Songs that you can't record to, and he made a video about that because certain glovers made videos into him and to a good consensus of the community. They feel like that video with that song is like perfect, as a lack of a better word. So
Like it's so weird that people could put biting even in that terms of taking someone else's song and recording to it, and then what happens if they do better on that song, saying that song blows up and how they do it. You know, people feel like that. You know, and like yeah, at one point before that video was even brought up from Jess, like I was always thinking like I never want to use someone else's song unless like I know I could properly do it. You know what I mean? Or like straight up like perform to the best of my abilities. But you, as a Glover, honestly should not feel any sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? Restraint to just record, to play what you like the song too. You like the song. People have been hearing Fortet drop Country Rhythm thousands of times already. I'm pretty sure you can record to whatever song you want. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. You know, and it just so happens that person just really captivated it. You know, and that like, and what we talked about Peter beforehand on this is like that those videos are in a sense of like what gloving is, you know, because at the end of my view on a light show, which might help on this whole take, is like it's like a visualizer. It's like a giant on-screen visualizer that I see at a show, except it's an actual dance instead. So there is a legitimate formulated like act being presented in front of me. So what's stopping you from taking that song? Because there's other dancers out there that have taken plenty of Michael Jackson songs and tried doing their own renditions of moves that Michael Jackson did. But are you going to call a biter? Are you going to call Michael Jackson impersonators biters, or are they Are you going to call a Glover a Vex impersonator, a Bemo impersonator, a Stasis impersonator, or are you going to call Starlet? You know, it doesn't have no particular take, in my opinion. If I like this song, I'm going to record to this song. And to me, if I see the song performed by someone else and they did it better, that's my motivation. I want to see what they did, yeah. See what I could do a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So
I also have a feeling when it comes to like, you know, what songs you should do. Obviously, in my opinion, you know, you have the right to glove whatever you want to glove to, you know, regardless of what genre. And when it comes to like gloving to the same music as somebody else, I have a different way of handling it. It just all depends. Like I don't try to, even if I really like the song and I wanted to throw a show, I'm gonna throw a show to it, but I'm gonna give it a little bit before I make my post, because I want that person, whoever did the song first, because I don't know what kind of connection that that person has to that song. It can mean something very important in any sense of the words or phrase. So I want as much people to engage it as possible before I go out and post it, and then my video potentially get more engagement than theirs. Like I don't want to take anything away from the original person, like whoever posted it. I know I'm not trying to. It's not me, like, you know, in a sense of from the last topic, gatekeep or anything, or they trying to gatekeep or feel like any type of way or any in that sense. I just, you know, when it comes to songs, sometimes even if I like the song, if the person really captivated that song, I'm not going to do a show, because in my mind, there is no other show that would have fit perfectly with that song than the person who I think the person did it that already done it, even if I did it. So like
I was going to bring that up. Like the biggest value about that all about this topic is like the respect behind it is like a lot of people. Honestly, the majority acknowledge like let's say for example, Vex's Mob video where he throws a show to Scary Monsters and Nice Warriors by Skrillex. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm first of the year Equinox. I'm dunce. My bad. Like everybody looked at that song and says nobody could do that song, but Vex.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because of just how much that plays.
So I have a question then. Have you guys ever been in a scenario where like maybe you found a new song, right? Or you just had a song that you've had in your library for a while that you've been wanting to throw a light show to, but you never got around to it. And one of these days you see somebody post a video and it just so happens to be that exact same song?
Yeah.
Have you guys
As a
ever
matter of
had
fact,
that happen and then had your like felt deflated, like you just have no motivation to do that song now because somebody already got to it?
as a matter of
Depends on how
fact,
good
yeah.
the show is. It depends on how good the show is. That's how I feel like, because it's like I'm not down in anybody's skills, none of that. That's not. I'm just going ahead and putting that out there before I say this. But if I personally feel like you know, that song didn't necessarily fit you, even though you like the song, you have fun, and that's what all that matters. But for me as a viewer and looking at it, especially see, you know, you performing a song that I was gonna plan on performing, it all depends on how well you captivated the song. If I don't feel like you fully captivated the song, I'm gonna give it a try. But if I feel like you did, I'm leaving it alone.
As a matter of fact, this just happened to me recently. Shout out Flackenstack, you butterfly, and that's an inside joke. He'll know what it means. But man, you gotta be shitting me. I actually had a plan on recording to a specific song. Like for once in a while, I had a song I had planned. One song in particular, and that's "Kill the Feel" from Ganja White Knight's new album Unity. And as I'm getting ready to, you know, yeah, I 100% feel the deflation facts kicking in, like, geez, dude. And what's nice too is like I think that was like Flack's latest great show. If you haven't, like, holy Christ, please link that in the description because that show is fire. I love that show. I think that's honestly top 5 favorite Flack and Stack shows for me. But shit.
I've had songs in my library that I'm like, I'm going to do a show to this, and then like a couple days later, I see somebody post a video, and it kind of, I don't know why, maybe it's because I saw somebody else do a live show to it, and it's now like affected how I was going to approach the show. You know what I mean? So I don't know, maybe that's just a personal thing for me. But it's just one of the things that happened.
In the same context too, I was like, I'm thinking about this. Like, have you ever have a song that you just couldn't record to? Like, it's like a great like I have a few songs. I'm not gonna lie. This is me personally. I have a few songs where I love it so much. It's so great. I just cannot get that one perfect show that I want. Like, I can see the show that I want to throw to about it, but I just cannot do it. Or like you just like it's too, or you just simply like it is just that good of a song you just don't want to. I've had a few songs like that. I tend to be like that. And in shit again, no fucking go figure. In the same remark, like, oh jeez, that I forgot Bemo's whole thing just went down. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. It wasn't Obed Dick God. Like. Oh, I lost my train of thought. But more so, just back to the mere fact that like, there's just that one song that you are like, you know it, you know how to do it, you know the little trinkets here and there, and then it's just too good, or you just can't do it. I feel just like that.
There's a particular episode from Malcolm in the Middle where Hal, the father, has this very distinct image in his head that he wants to bring into the world, and he spends all day just like weeks on end working on this masterpiece that he has. And I mean, you see him like throwing paint at it, he's dumping paint all over himself, he's jumping up onto the wall to get, you know, make it done, and he's hitting that part where it's just like he's not getting it. He sees it in his head, but he can't find the path to get there. I've had the same kind of mentality where I've had songs where no matter what I'm doing, it's not coming out the way I have it in my head. And what's in my head is the thing I want to put out. Now, granted, at the end of the episode, he finally finishes it, and it comes all together, and they're like, holy crap, that's amazing, this looks fantastic. Of course, at the end of the episode, there's so much paint on the tapestry and on the canvas, it peels off and falls right on top of him. So hopefully we never have a situation like that, but that is something I feel like has happened to many Glovers in the community, where they're just like, I have this song in mind, and they just can't put the movements to the song.
Be here, this, that,
Yeah,
that
just
falls in-
ridiculous.
But that also falls into like some people are also like, you know, I can't really go up to like dubstep, or I can't go up to experimental, or I can't go up to house. Which, I mean, biasly, I'm gonna judge you if you can't go up to house or techno or trance. Come on, follow pilot. I'm being biased. Anyways, but it's like yeah, it falls in that manner too. But like there's people out there that have like that one select few songs where it's just like, this is what I want to record to, but I just can't. Please. But Mag, I got a question for you, just as a random question for you, as in this topic, right? Have you ever locked in, have that feeling of being locked in when you're at an event? Because you know the song? You know what I mean? Like, have you, you know that like weird, like, distinct feeling?
Yeah, like you know this song, but you know what it's gonna transition to, but you feel the pacing, you know all that stuff. Yeah.
This is just sidebar because we were talking about since still taboos.
Yep.
But just as a sidebar, like just like a weird, like interesting, intimate feeling that like semi revolves around songs you can't record to. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't. It's just a random sidebar. But no, yeah, like that very interesting feeling. I don't know. Are you guys akin to talking about that just for a quick second? You know, like when you know song, like say like you've been in a competition and like maybe the comp doesn't provide the playlist, i.e. example like G3 provided a playlist, but you go to a comp, it doesn't provide a playlist, but you just know those songs, you get that locked in feeling, like the ability that you know what to expect within that song.
Oh, so like if you're in a competition, they didn't disclose the playlist and they start playing the song and you instantly just like, I know this song type deal?
Go time.
Yeah. I don't think I've actually ever had that kind of scenario happen before, so I don't really. But I definitely know like the feeling. It's like being at a club, the DJ starts playing a song that you really, really like, and you're like, oh, that's my song. Yeah, yeah, I definitely see that could be a really interesting kind of scenario to see play out. But I think, you know what, I have a better idea. If you're watching this, please leave it down in the comment section below if you've ever had that in a competition before where they play the song that you know very intimately and you really, really enjoy.
Festival, kickback, wherever.
Yeah.
But to bring things back on the topic, onto songs you can't record to, the etiquette behind it, you know, I've actually had an occurrence with someone who's asked me, like, should I record, like, just team chat wise, but like, I had someone ask if I could record to a song that I've recorded to, you know, and I'm like I said, like, that's very, very, very interesting, very respectful. I took that as like, you know, it takes a lot for people, and for most people, it takes a lot to record to someone that really made a good show to that song already too. It does, you know. You got to be coming in with some heavy guns, some big guns, to do something. Me personally, that's what I think.
Well, I was also gonna say when it came to stuff like that, there's a good example of I think it was Christian Lim. Somebody made basically a tribute video to one of Puppet's videos that I think he did for what's the online comp I'm thinking of? Lights On.
Yeah, it's Limit. He did a tribute show to Puppet, and it was to Technic Angel by Virtual Self. I remember. I love that show. I love Limit. Fan.
Yeah, so I think when it came to like Justice's video about these are the songs you can't do a light show or you can't record to, because like I do stand on his side of, yeah, these performances are like god tier. You can tell that this meant something to them, and this is a piece of art that is just what we like to call the cream of the crop when it comes to that. I think if he approached it by saying if you want to do these songs, just know that these videos exist, and maybe take a page or two and try to like pay tribute to how good that video was, kind of deal. As like Limit did with Puppet. I thought that was actually a really cool idea, and I kind of wish to see more of that. The other thing is, well, I feel like we are having people kind of break that gatekeeping feel about songs you can't record to, with like Reddit has their unofficial gloving like monthly competition thing that they're having, and it's basically they choose a song for that month, everyone records to that song, and whoever gets the most votes pretty much wins. And everyone just posts the exact same song. So I also see that being a really fun exercise to just see how people take a task and come up with their own ideas on it. You know what I mean? It feels kind of like, have you guys ever seen the competition show called Face Off, where it's practical makeup effects? It's kind of like that. It feels like that. It's like, here's your challenge for the week, go make a video, and we'll deliberate from there. So I definitely want to see more of that in the community. But yeah, I do think it was funny how that was actually one of those things that people kind of got really heated about when Jess posted that video about songs you can't record to. Because he says you can. I'm just saying, to me, these videos are like the perfect presentation for the song. Yeah, I think, is there anything else? I think we're pretty much done on all our talking points. We kind of touched up on a lot of it within a single.
I will formally apologizing for my phone dying 3 times in a row.
You're good.
You are totally fine. We definitely, I've dealt with a lot of more difficult technical difficulties before. So
Your name is Bemo. I mean, some people, I get it. You know, technical difficulties. Gotta fix things. It's okay. I understand. I'm not a machine like you, so gracefully with your arms, but I wish. I want to be. I want to be like, you see, Bemo. I want to be like you when I grow up. That's what I want to do.
You know what we need to do? We need to fund somebody to make Bemo cufflinks of Bemo from Adventure Time, so he can clip them onto his cuffs on his gloves.
That'd be hard.
I actually have a Bemo wristband like somebody made for me.
Nice.
Like the candy bracelet.
Yeah, nice. If I find cufflinks with Bemo on it, I'm definitely buying them for you.
Oh my god, that would be awesome. I think I might have one, but it's not. I think it's, a little cotton fabric type wristband with a picture of Bemo, or like has this Bemo looked on it. I have to find that one, but still, if you find more, let me know.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I certainly hope everybody enjoyed what we had for today. I know we had a lot to discuss about, and there's a lot of things that we need to deliberate on. If you have any gloving taboos that we have not touched on that you wish for us to know, please do not hesitate to hit that down in the comment section below. Help me out on the algorithm on YouTube, because we desperately need it. But Bemo, if people want to follow you on any of your platforms, which ones would you like them to follow you on?
A lot of them is usually like Bemo 420. I know Instagram is Bemo. It should be Bemo _ BE_MO 420. That's for my Instagram. I think my TikTok is still under Bemo 420 or Bemo 710. Like, it's hard to keep up with, but I have that, and then I also have my YouTube, which is also Bemo 420. So a lot of the stuff are usually repeated around the same name. But you can follow me on either on Instagram, and you can subscribe to me on YouTube, and if you want to follow me on TikTok, that'll be awesome too.
Yeah, I'll have all of his links down in the description below, along with everybody else's, and of course 30K. If anyone wants to follow you, which places should they go to follow you on?
in the woods, deep in the woods, in the heart of the womb, where we will build fires and chant rituals. And, no, I'm just kidding. I'm playing with y'all, man. Look, listen, check me out. Follow me on Instagram at 30k_official. You know, follow me at TikTok at the _official_30k. You know, you can even check me out on Facebook, which is 30k-light show artist. You know, I post on there every now and then, but hey, you can even send me a friend request every now and then. I don't even care. Like, hey, just figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care. But if you want to follow me, follow me. If you don't, don't. But if you don't follow me, you should follow Bemo. Bemo's better than me. Or Starstream TuT. Next kind of part down there, which I hope is aiming the proper way, because in my screen, he's down there in that direction. Which being the guy that clocks and all that got me stuck on time. Yada, yada, yada. I'm down here for you?
I was just gonna say on my screen, you should just, instead of pointing down, just point a little upward, and you will be pointing at Starstream. There you go.
I got it. Yeah. I don't know which way's up, but I know he's up there.
But other than that, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed what we had to talk in here. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please don't hesitate to put it down in the comment section. And of course, you'll find all of our social media platform links all in the description below. Other than that, I certainly hope you guys we'll return to our next one, because I know we have a couple of things in the works, but I do have a new series for the Gloving Table Talks coming in the pipeline very soon. And of course, one of those Bemo will be back for. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that.
Yay!
But other than that, I certainly hope you guys enjoy, and we'll definitely catch you guys next time. Bye.
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 Now it's juicy.